really don't want to stay.
All right, it is 7 o'clock, so we will get started. All right. Good evening. It is 7 o'clock on Wednesday, June 10th, and I am calling this meeting of the Planning Board to order. My name is Chris LaValle, and I'm the chair of the board. Tonight, we'll be following the posted agenda. Evan, is there anyone on Zoom tonight?
Yes, there is one person on
Okay,
Zoom.
so the meeting tonight is both in person and Zoom. If Zoom fails at any point in the meeting, we'll continue in person. This meeting is being televised live and recorded by Chelmsford Telemedia and will be available on their website and on YouTube. For the record, we have almost a full board tonight. John is going to be late tonight. He's coming from another meeting, but he is expected to be here a little bit later. All right. First up on the agenda is public input. Public input shall be limited to statements from the public related to any issues within our jurisdiction, but are not the current subject of a pending public hearing or public discussion tonight. Public comment on any of those will be heard only during those sections of the agenda. So is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight during public input? All right, there being none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Administrative review, A&R for 3 Bolio Street. Do we have anyone for that tonight, Evan?
I don't know if there's anyone in the audience.
If you could introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mark Malo, 3 Bolio Street. And I've submitted a request for an A&R, and copies of the plot plan have been provided, along with the application.
And you're looking to combine 3 lots into one?
Correct.
Okay. And it obviously meets the frontage. Evan, do you have anything on this one?
No comments.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Doesn't it automatically, like if you have 3 lots, doesn't it automatically like used to calculate as a single lot? I thought that was the whole thing.
Yeah, for purposes of zoning, lots held in common ownership are merged, but they're merged in theory, not in actuality. So in this case, this property owner is likely receiving multiple tax bills.
Right.
When an applicant wants to file for a building permit, and put an addition on their house, those lot lines, because they're still legally separate parcels, those lot lines remain. So the only way to circumvent that is to combine them, combine the individual lots, remove those lot lines, and then for purposes of applying for a building permit, then there's no zoning violations for side yard setbacks.
Okay, got it. Good to know.
And
But
I assume that's what's going on here.
Got
But
it.
wasn't there a recent law passed about lots that had been theoretically merged
Yep.
can be unmerged for purposes
Yep.
of?
They can be unmerged, they had to comply, at the time of they were created, they had to comply with zoning. And then for today, the lots have to have a minimum of 10,000 square feet and 75 feet of frontage.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Seems straightforward.
At this time, I will take a motion.
I would move that we grant the A&R on 3, I would have said Bolio.
Me too.
Hello?
Bolio.
Bolio Street, with no determination this is to zoning.
Okay. Motion by Mike, second by Marcy. John just walked in, but he will not be voting on this topic since he just walked in. So all in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you.
We'll get that signed tonight, and you can pick it up tomorrow if you want.
Great, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the continued public hearing for 9 Lady Slipper Lane. There is a request for continuation to June 24th. So we'll entertain a motion.
I would move that we continue the public hearing on 9 Lady Slipper Lane to June 24th.
Do we have a busy schedule for the 24th, Evan?
No, not overly, no.
Okay. Second?
Motion by Mike, second by Deirdre. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. It is moved. All right. Next up on the agenda is old business, Riverneck neighborhood discussion. So I'm going to give a quick intro, and then I'll pass it along to Anita to go through the slides. So this is the third area that we've talked about rezoning with the CBLT zoning and fixing some of the zoning conflicts that were identified by the Northern Middlesex County Council of Governments group that worked with us a few years ago. We had preliminary discussions for a couple meetings now with the board to come up with a draft that Anita is going to present tonight. Tonight, the plan is to have Anita present the draft, go around the board with any questions or comments that we didn't address yet. And then I would like to open it up for discussion with the neighborhood to give us feedback on the plan, provide any input, suggestions. Some folks did submit comments and emails to us, which we have attached to the agenda. If you have submitted anything, you can certainly refer to that. This will likely not be the only chance to speak tonight, so if we don't get to you tonight, we will certainly get to you next meeting. I do plan on probably having 2 of these meetings before we wrap things up and then prepare for an official public hearing, which is the same process that we've followed with other rezonings. The public hearing probably will not happen until closer to town meeting because we do have a certain period of time between the close of the official public hearing for zoning and the opening of town meeting. So it probably will not happen until late summer for all of our zoning public hearings. But with that being said, we will entertain discussions, questions from the neighborhood. I do want this to be a discussion, not just a one-way public input. So if we have questions for the residents, if they have questions for us, I would encourage people to ask questions and answer them tonight. So if there are no other questions, we can get right into the presentation.
Okay. I'm going to bring it up.
One other thing I forgot to mention. We did attach the CBLT zoning handout that we prepared for town meeting because I realized that neither our books nor the online zoning have the CBLT use table updated yet. So I did attach the CBLT zoning handout that we use for town meeting so that people can see what the use table is for CBLT. Okay.
And just to take a step back, for those of you who maybe haven't been following the planning board or town meeting, about a year ago, we passed a new zone, CBLT. And the reason why we created this zone was we were running into a lot of areas of things, developers wanting to build things close to neighborhoods. Chelmsford is overbuilt, there's not a lot of extra space. And we really decided at that point that we need to make sure that any development happening next to neighborhoods is appropriate. So we created this new zone, CBLT, and is in the agenda, and you can look at that. It hasn't been, as Chris mentioned, hasn't been updated online yet, but that has passed. We then looked at areas, and we've been taking a different area each 6 months, every 6 months for town meeting to update. So the first area was Kate's Corner, that we looked at that area, zoned the Lockheed Martin as CBLT, and then, fixed all the other parcels of land around it, because some of them were IA, some of them were RB, even though they had homes and stuff, and we kind of fix that. And then we looked, this past town meeting was North Chelmsford. We did something similar for that. And now we're finally at River Neck. River Neck is a large area, and it's a bit complex, so I apologize for these multiple slides, but it's like we're taking a little section of each area of River Neck, trying to take this on. And this isn't set in stone. This is to be a collaborative meeting. We want your input. Nothing set in stone. We're open to what the neighborhood wants. This is not about what we want. It's also about what the neighbors, and this is your neighborhood, so please add your comments. So starting with the first slide.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
And one other thing I'd like to add is that the idea was to have the zoning as rezoned more accurately reflect, residential things ideally shouldn't be zoned IA, industrial, which is currently the case on the ground in a number of places. So we were trying to make the zoning accurately reflect what's on the ground, and also the CB light to be kind of a buffer between heavy industrial and residential in the cases where those are in closer proximity than would be ideal.
All right, so looking.
Sorry.
No, thank you, I appreciate that. At the first slide, and this is closer to 129 going up. I've also, if you look at it, and I may have to get up, I expanded it from the last time this planning board has seen it. I expanded it because the gray is considered IA. And as you can see, some lots are mostly RB, but they have a section of their lot in the back that's IA, which is just weird. I have no idea. We didn't do this. This was done way back when. So we went through, and I'm going to stand up because I think it might be easier for everybody, if you don't mind.
And Evan, can you use the cursor to follow where Anita's pointing on our screen so that the residents can see it too?
But River Neck is right here, this little white road going up. These houses are primarily RB, but the back of their lots, you have an IA overlay. So we're proposing these would be RB. This is still, let me just kind of show you what everything is, right? These are RC, and this is currently all IA. So we go to the next slide. So we're just saying this whole lot is all RB, because that's what it is. It's homes. These are the condos. This is RB. This is all RB. This is all RC, because part of this before, we had some of IA going into this RC. So that's staying RC, that stays RC. This is actually public owned, so we're gonna change that to public, because it's not buildable, it's owned by the town. And these lots all up here are all public. Ready with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the first section. This one might be a little bit more familiar to folks. This is where the old Mercury building was, where they wanted to build the distribution center. We've got Monmouth Road here, we've got McFarland. This is currently how it's zoned. We've got IA, and then we've got one little RB house here. This is all IA, all of McFarland's IA. The Apollo Road Progress Ave is all IA, and then we know that the old Mercury building area is all IA. So what we did is we changed McFarland to RB, because that's what they are, they're single-family homes. Changed Monmouth to RB. Everything that is the Mercury building, these folks, it's all grandfathered in, they can still have an office building, but they can't come in and build a distribution center under CB Light. So that's what we're trying to do here, is kind of like, you know, we've heard the neighborhood, and we're trying to make things that are not disruptive to everybody's quality of life and their property value. So we changed all of this to CB light. In addition, we also looked at Apollo Drive, because this building here on Apollo abuts RB. So we also changed that to CB light. It doesn't mean like they don't have the ability to have an office building. When this was originally built, that was the intent back then. And they can still have an office building. We just don't want something that, you know, like a distribution center going in there. We don't want a UPS, that converting into a UPS, because that's not going to be good for the neighborhood. And we actually went down a little bit further. Anything that literally touched residential, we converted to RB.
CB light, you mean?
Sorry, to CB Light, thank you. This is going, so we got Route 3 here. This is the other side. This is St. Joseph's Cemetery, just to orient you. Going up River Neck. We've got the fire station. So you can see where IA is here.
So all that P there is the cemetery?
That's all P,
It's
that's
all
the cemetery.
cemetery.
That's staying P.
And the IA on the closest to you, is that building with the trailers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and then you've got 3 little houses here that are also IA for some reason. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And actually, one of them now belongs to the town, so we're changing that little house to public. The other
What if the
two-
town wanted to sell it?
Well, there's no house there anymore. It's now the
It's actually
Burbank
wetlands.
Gardens. It's
Oh.
conservation.
Conservation.
I haven't
Um,
been over there lately.
You know, so public stays public. We converted these to RB because they're homes. RB across the street there, CB Light where there's an office building. RB, and then this go converts to public. Now, I also did, this is the same area, but zoomed out a little bit. Because when I was looking at this, I noticed a whole bunch of Chelmsford water was zoned IA. I figured we might as well fix this as well. So this is all zoned IA. And this is all like part. go to
Like
the
where
next
they're
slide.
putting the PFAS plant to
No.
correct the PFAS?
No.
No, this is down Canal Street.
Yeah, this is East Chelmsford water,
East Chelmsford water.
not,
This is this is Route 3. This is all owned by Mass Department of Transit. So we go to the next slide. I just, again, changed these to P, kept this IA. This is PS, turned this into P. Oh, these should be P, not PB. I was thinking planning board. This one I didn't know. I didn't know who owned this and what this was. There's a little lot here, but I think that can be turned into P, but I wasn't sure, so that's the only thing I had a question on. But anything, again, that was public, that was, you know, East Chelmsford Water or Mass, you know, it belonged to the, you know, Massachusetts Transit, I just changed to P.
So I'm sorry, what are those two little blue?
These
The
are supposed to be
PB?
It should be P.
It should be P.
I was thinking
Okay,
planning
I'm
board,
sorry.
getting to
Fine,
this down
fine,
to,
fine.
so I,
Got it.
sorry, that's my mistake.
Anita, that little one is New England Power Company?
Is it a municipality? I wasn't sure if it was a municipality or
Huh.
if that should be
It-
P. I need to look into that.
New England
one.
Power Company Property Tax Department is the owner of record on the property card. So I'm
I'll-
guessing it's just land they own
As part of their right of way.
right away.
Okay, so we may have to keep that, but I'll reach out to maybe Sam and the assessors just to find out,
Yeah.
or I'll look it up and find out who actually owns that, is whether that's a government or a true company.
What is that one zoned as now? IA?
IA.
mhm.
All the grays IA, correct?
Yeah.
That's it, right? No, that was it.
And then for the 129 overlay, anything that changes away from IA would no longer have the overlay,
Right,
right?
yep.
Anything IA related would keep the overlay?
I would take, well, we're getting rid of all the IA on River Neck. So then I would keep it IA.
So it would just be on 129, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
That's fine.
But I think we actually have to take, do we actually have to have a vote on that to remove the IA from there?
Yes.
Okay. Regardless of whether,
Yeah.
I mean, remove the 129 overlay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should figure out how to reshape the boundaries of that somehow on the slides or map or somehow. I don't know how easy that would be on the GIS.
Oh, we'll figure something out.
Okay. That way we'll need to have some visual for town meeting. and
So
for the
all that
official
with the
public
grid is
hearing.
part of the 129 overlay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That is very weird.
So right now, the 129 overlay is including the whole middle bit that we're now taking out. That's not gridded.
No, it's just the grid.
No, she's saying right now that white part, that what we're really looking to rezone, is that currently part of the 129 overlay, or is that already
White part
taken
that's
out?
on that slide? No, that's
Okay.
not the overlay.
All right.
It's just the grid piece.
Just the grid piece that goes around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think the 129 overlay is only on IA.
Yeah.
So anything that's already
Yeah,
not
so we made
IA
it
wouldn't
120,
be.
like all of 129.
Yep.
Went up Progress Ave,
Mm-hmm.
or Apollo Ave, right? And then it crossed River Neck and went into the Mercury area and that one house that was by itself.
Yep.
And the machine mechanics, I think, building, which is to the right. It doesn't necessarily make sense to do that. I don't know why they did it over there.
You weren't there for it, so.
Yeah.
All right, any questions or comments from the board?
Looks good.
All right. At this point, I would like to invite any residents to come up, give us any input, feedback, questions, comments. If you do come up, please state your name and address for the record. And I see Sean getting up, so.
So, I actually got two speeches. One was kind of a short one was kind of a longer one. But I guess I'll try with the longer one.
Oh, no.
I mean, my longer one was only 12 pages compared to my 80-page document that I
Sean, we do have all of your emails and records attached to the agenda, so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to get into any of that. For some reason, I was trying to cram so much data into such a small packet, and it's incredibly challenging. There's everywhere I looked, this isn't part of my speech, but everywhere I looked, it was just information and then another door, another issue. So I'll start with my speech.
If you could, just for the record, state your name and
Yes,
address.
I'm going to get to that. So good evening, Chair LaValle and Planning Board members. Sean Campbell, Precinct 10 representative. I live on Monmouth Street, one of the 38 residential homes of Monmouth Street and McFarland Road that are subject to tonight's rezoning. I think you all know me. You've seen me at these meetings time and time again. And I want to be honest, I don't enjoy being here, at least not at this mic stand. I would rather be at home with my family. I have a 16-year-old. I have a 1-year-old. I am a busy person. But I keep coming back because we live in a hot zone. This is not Lady Slipper Lane. If I lived there, you wouldn't know me. And I wouldn't know what a planning board does. But I don't live there. I live where there is demand for change, and it is in this corridor. Even when we win, the fight seems to come back. Two developers on River Neck Road right now have been told no, and they don't care. They're going to court, trying to overturn this board and the wishes of the people of East Chelmsford. It's not fair, but it is needed, so I am here. I want to note for the record that the 10 detailed documents reported, the detailed reports were submitted to this board ahead of tonight's meeting and attached to this agenda. Those documents represent months of research, confirmed assessor data, certified historical maps, parcel by parcel analysis for all 38 homes. They are not a complaint, they are for a record. Everything I say tonight at the mic is backed by something in those documents. I would ask that the board's recommendation, whatever it is, reflect the seriousness of the submissions that were made in the data that was considered. When, a little background. So when my family came to Monmouth Street, 1978, 300 Apollo Drive was a farm. Monmouth Street was a dirt road with 5 houses on it. My family came from North Chelmsford, Lynn Avenue. We were locals. My grandfather worked for this town for over 20 years and lost his life serving our town during the blizzard of 1978. He is one of 4 police officers who have fallen in this town's history. The Chelmsford Police Honor Guard lays a wreath on his grave every year now. Chief Gary Hannigan did it this year and gave me a small coin. It is good to see that recognition. My father and 2 uncles followed. They joined the fire department. They are now all retired. This was a really good area to select in the 70s. That farm became a 3,000 square foot office building, roughly 5 football fields, 7 Walmarts, sitting directly behind our backyard and our backyards. This is just one of the buildings on Apollo Drive. There are many now. I lost count. To give you a sense of the scale, you may remember the Davis Company's warehouse project that this board denied. That one building has more square footage than the Davis was asking for. And if you look at their own marketing for 300 Apollo, they list having heavy power as a building highlight, one of 7 highlights to their building. Heavy power from a residential street running through our backyards. This industrial zone came to us. We didn't come to it. Monmouth Street was plotted as a residential subdivision in 1892. The 1963 Chelmsford zoning map, certified by your own town clerk, shows this corridor mix of residential, including all of McFarland residential before Apollo Drive even existed. This board rezoned Middlesex Street from IA to RC on January 28th of this year. Monmouth Street and McFarland are in the same situation on a different street. For over 50 years, this corridor has generated millions in tax revenue for Chelmsford. 300 Apollo Drive pays $530,000 a year to this town alone. These families have received nothing in return. No sidewalks on McFarland, no sidewalks on Monmouth, no sidewalk or adequate sidewalk on River Neck Road, unsafe bus stops. River Neck Road just has a stub that connects to 129 that dumps you in the middle of the road. I think everybody's seen that. Overhead industrial power lines that run through our front yards on Monmouth Street. 10 years ago, they upgraded all of the poles on Monmouth Street to support 300 Apollos in one of my reports. I don't know if you guys saw that, but not the neighborhood. We get nothing. National Grid demanded the right-of-way, cut every tree and green buffer within 10 feet of the pole's lines. So once those 3-phase came in, they just went 10 feet, changed my front yard forever. Scorching our front yard, permanently changing the face of Monmouth Street. They come back every 2 years to do it again. We cannot even connect to those lines. 3-phase is for industrial only. You can't connect to residential. Apollo Drive buried its own wiring underground. So at 36 Monmouth Street, there's an underground conduit that connects to a pole. They didn't want any poles. We got the poles. The town spent 4.1 million protecting Coolest Farm for another neighborhood. That neighborhood has sidewalks, underground utilities, proper zonings. These families got poles and parking lots. I want to talk about a small piece of land, a 0.34 acre, about the size of 3 basketball courts, lot 75291-17. This is town-owned since 1979, 46 years. It sits in the middle of Monmouth Street. It is the only separation between a nearly 3,000 square foot office complex and the backyard of my neighbors. I'm asking this board to designate it P tonight. And here is why. And this matters more than anything else I say tonight. Zoning can change. History tells us that. We've watched this happen in this corridor over and over again. Zoning changes when the right developer comes to town, not when someone wants to add a deck. It changes for cash creation projects. The right developer, the right proposal, the right pressure on the right board, and zoning changes. But conservation land cannot be undone. This is the difference. RC zone can be changed again someday. RB can be rezoned. IA can come back. We've seen it, we know it. But once that 0.34 acre lot is a designated P and transferred to the Conservation Commission, it's protected forever. No developer can touch it. No future board can sell it. No institutional owner with 39 million can assemble it. This is our insurance policy. It's the one thing we can do tonight that stops the IA creep permanently. A physical red line between 300 Apollo Drive and Monmouth Street that no zoning vote can ever erase. Tonight's rezoning map shows already using the P zone on multiple parcels. You are already drawing red lines in this corridor. I'm asking you to draw one more. Lot 75291-17, already town-owned. Zero cost, zero accusation needed. If you can do it for those other properties, including nearby Carter Drive, you can do it for Monmouth Street. The overlay, this is my next paragraph, which is about the overlay. I think you've addressed that. So a concern I have is once you go CBLT, it allows residential zoning apartments with the overlay. But it sounds like you are,
Oh, we're gonna take that, yeah.
you're taking anything that goes CBLT.
With we're taking that overlay out,
Okay.
yes. That would be our well, we haven't voted on it, but that would be, I would strongly feel.
Okay, so I just wanted to reference that, so I'm going to skip a little bit there, but I'm going to say that CBLT is defined as a transitioning zone. But with this overlay, you're giving a super magnet that says they can skip ahead and be a high-density multifamily, and they can skip a lot of traditional, I think, special permits with that type of override. Right now in IA, it's really challenging, from my understanding, to have apartments or to have any residential. But once you go to CBLT, and I think it's important for all the neighbors to know that, people can live in CBLT. So it might sound good, but you might have apartments at some point. And with this overlay, they could be super apartments, very, very high density. So, let me skip ahead okay, so it sounds like you are doing 300 Apollo CBLT, is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to skip that because I think you've addressed it. I was just basically suggesting that removing that overlay. Once anything is CBLT, no overlay. Every IA parcel rezoned to CBLA must have that board overlay removed simultaneously, not later, not in the future, tonight. If you rezone CBLT and leave the board in place, it's disastrous.
So just so.
But also, Sean, multifamily is not allowed in CBLT.
But it's allowed with the overlay.
But we're taking the overlay away.
Right, but he didn't know that
I
when
didn't-
he
I didn't
wrote his
know that.
speech.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were removing the overlay. So right now, the overlay is present, and it wasn't clear with your last meeting that you were removing the overlay from the 300 Apollo. And I think the overlay is present, the overlay is present on my property. It's
Yeah,
present
no,
on,
again,
it's
no
everywhere.
idea.
I can speak to that, but it's not part of my speech.
For question in between. Can you, I'm getting to on that section you were asking to be P.
The
I'm not
town
really
lot.
clear where that
It's
is.
that, I believe it's that lot right there we were talking about before, it's got nothing in it.
Evan, could you pull up my Monmouth Street buffer document?
That one.
I have pictures, I got everything on that.
When you look at the GIS map, it's the one
It's
that doesn't have a house on it.
And that's something you didn't.
I didn't know,
Yeah, that's
So
it.
it's
I
right
just
there.
left it-
That one.
you can't
I
build a
see those
house
two.
on it because it's not enough.
Who
Land?
owns it?
The town
The
owns it.
town owns it.
So if you scroll down to, from Evan, there are pictures. That's the Monmouth Street view. It's all trees. And then the next view is from Apollo. And essentially what it is it's a buffer. It's about, I think it's 100 feet. It's 100 feet wide buffer. You can't build on it, but what can happen is somebody could build an ADU. Somebody could push for a permit. In my opening speech, there were 5 houses on Monmouth. There are more today, and those lots were non-buildable. So, Deirdre's old house was built in the 90s. Things happen. The only way, but I think that the real seriousness is if you want to protect the neighborhood, what's happening is once that's conservation, any expansion at 300 Apollo can't push through it. So they can't absorb Monmouth Street by any means. For 300, right now, 300 Apollo or some big developer, they could purchase these houses right here and they could latch onto Apollo Drive, which has been presented in the early 2000s. It's not, it was actually almost close to happening before the dot-com crash. So you put a red line. It's not valuable by any means to the town. And even, I said the town has owned it for 47 years, I believe. Prior to that, they owned it and they sold it and nobody built on it. It's just kind of wasted.
Sean, can I just make one clarification? While our board does have the power to zone it, we don't have the power to have Conservation Commission take it over. That would be entirely up to them.
Right.
But we can talk to them. I
We
mean,
could.
We could
make a recommendation.
Again.
But it's completely in their control.
So I was going to present something to you regarding that, because I kind of anticipated that could be, if you wanted, you could zone it P, and then I could do a lot of the legwork. I believe what has to happen is the town article needs to be submitted. I believe if I made the speech or somebody made the speech about this, I think the town, considering how we do vote, I think they would find it acceptable. And it's not really a valuable piece. Let's say, for example, I purchased it, right, which I couldn't build on it because I don't know about it. But then I'd go to, the town tax collector and I'd say, hey, I don't want to pay that much taxes on this because I can't do anything with it, and I bought it as a buffer. So I don't think the town would, really get any reward by selling it. Besides that one cash offer, but it's risky because we don't know who could buy it, and if we make it conservation, it deems that Monmouth Street will be protected forever. And I see we have some Riverneck Road residents here that are on that map, and that means that my house and the houses by will be residential, that they can't get eaten up. It's just kind of a small red line.
Sean, just to explain the process, so the Conservation Commission would have to be amenable to taking over that parcel, and then, as you said, it would take a warrant. It takes a vote at town meeting to officially transfer it from the town, just being town land, to the being conservation land.
Right, yeah. I understand that. So I think the first step is designation P, and that would mean, the town would still own it. It wouldn't be buildable by anybody. It would be town property, which it's been for, a really long time. And then the second step would be conservation. And I'd be happy to work with the planning board and the conservation on seeing what can be done to streamline that. And if needed, I mean, I haven't done an article, but I could do one at town meeting. You know,
No, I mean, I think.
it'd be better
we
if you
have a-
guys did it.
It would have to go through conservation
Yeah,
first.
like we can't, but, you know, we have a liaison to the conservation, so we'll bring that up.
I just have a quick question. So it doesn't have to be designated P, though, for that article to still happen at the town meeting and for them to take the conservation, if they were to take ownership, regardless of how it's zoned, right? It
I
could still.
believe that's correct.
If it's,
Why
but if
would
it's
we
owned
not?
by the town, we might as well just make it P. Like,
Just asking.
Yeah, yeah.
The P would give another protection, because if it's zoned, like right now it's IA. So Apollo, if it were sold today, which it would have to go to town meeting, it could be useful to Apollo right now. If it's RB, it remains useful. If it's P, it means that you would have to rezone it and auction it, so it's a two-step process.
The only other option would be if either one, you know, one of the two abutters wanted to purchase that through a,
It would have, this was foreclosed in the early 80s for non-payment of taxes. The law regarding foreclosures changed in 2024 about the sale or disposition of foreclosed property, but because this goes back so many years, it would most likely be sold to the public auction process, if that was the decision that was
right,
made.
so like if one of the neighbors wanted to, you know, put in a bid to potentially buy it, to have a bigger lot, that's the only, like, alternative of what could happen, that we would lose that, but, like, I have no,
The reason for that is many times abutters will contact the town and try to purchase land, and the law is pretty strict on this. It's to give everyone a fair shot, so that you can't just have neighbor A call up and say, hey, I'd like to offer the town, you know, $5,000 or $10,000. It has to be a fair, public, open process, so that's the reason for the auction.
Okay.
I've kind of calculated that risk. I mean, it's dicey to auction it, because you don't know who's going to own it. It could be a developer, it could be somebody that just buys it and wants to sit on it. I can tell you that there was a selectman back in the 90s that contacted my father, and he was saying he wanted to put a house there, and he wanted to get our feedback. So you don't know, but to protect it, and Davis Company referenced it, they noticed it, they said they were going to put a park there. And it's definitely on the radar, so protecting it. We're protecting a lot of land, I think, already with this P, and this one is very important, even though it's not really that valuable. And I think that if it was valuable to the town, they would have definitely zeroed in on it a long time ago.
Okay. Any other points?
Yes, so the next point I have is let me skip ahead here. So I have three asks, main asks tonight. One is rezone Monmouth Street, McFarland from IA to RC. RC and RB are both residential. Either one of them fixes the IA error. RC fits these lots, RB does not. The data is in your record. The other ask was the lot, and I did have something that, a request of sidewalks on River Neck Road as a condition of any CBLT approval on this corridor. I read that you could do that. If somebody comes and wants to do a CBLT project, we can ask them to contribute to sidewalks. So I'd like to make that a condition. These families have waited 50 years. The corridor can afford it. I want to talk about something real, something that affects every homeowner on these streets. Every time they want to build a deck, add a room, or put up a garage, right now under IA, their homes technically sit at 40% lot coverage. The moment the board rezones them RB, that drops to 15%. RC gives them 20%. This is not an abstract number. I have pulled permits for small changes on my own property. I know what happens when you walk into the building department. The lot coverage calculation is one of the first things the building inspector checks when a homeowner wants to add a mudroom, small addition, a garage. That percentage is a real difference between yes and no, and between an approval and a ZBA variance hearing. Under the RB, These homeowners also face a 40-foot setback and a 25-foot side setback. On a standard 75-wide McFarland Road lot, that leaves 25 feet of buildable width. 25 feet, the width of a single-car garage. Almost all of these families will never know this until the day they try to improve their home and they get told no. RC fixes this for all 38 homes. Better setbacks, more coverage, more flexibility, the same permit process every other residential street in Chelmsford has. Ask any building inspector, this is real. It shows up every single time somebody needs a permit. We have been in the wrong zone for over 50 years. 50 years of industrial rules applied to residential homes. 50 years of permits processed like factories. 50 years of watching the corridor grow around them, while their zoning stayed frozen in somebody else's economic plan. Tonight, this board has an opportunity to select a zone that actually fits these streets, not a zone that was drawn from a commercial value, not a zone that punishes small lots with setbacks they cannot meet, a zone that fits. These 38 homes are owed that. They are owed the time they lost. They are owed the time, the permits that were harder than they should have been. They are owed the peace of mind of living in a zone. This reflects what their street actually is. They deserve a good start. After 50 years, they deserve that. So next, I just was more or less interested in the RC topic, and I was going to suggest that I don't think RB was ever requested by anybody, and I would point out I tried making a map, but we have RC right nearby, pretty much everywhere. If you, Evan, could you pull up the GIS Chelmsford? And then could you, this was I went to Staples and they were supposed to put my map on a poster, but it came out of the paper. So I think the reality is a lot of people don't know the difference between RC and RB. And it's confusing when you bring it up and you say, Evan, could you put the zoning on the, yes.
Why don't
Okay.
we discuss RC, like,
Can
just
you
a
zoom
very-
out, Evan, so I could see like Carter?
Not do that yet.
Okay.
I'd like to get other residents'
So
voices in first.
Okay. But we have, yeah, okay.
We'll get to that discussion.
So just to not force you, I just want to point out that those lots that are RC are actually bigger than most of McFarland and Monmouth. And it's not a problem. It's right nearby. If you could just, you could grab one at random and we could look at the lot size. Let's just see what we got here. So this is basically a half acre. So that particular lot, right nearby on, I think it's Don Drive, is larger than all of McFarland. It's bigger than most of the Monmouth lots, and it's RC. And I think you go from IA to CBLT to RC to RB. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than RB. If you go RB, every single one of those homes on McFarland, they're never going to be able to expand. And if you, I'm sure at some point, you guys saw Lady Slipper, the demand is for, larger homes. And I think, you're going to see people want to add on, and I think they should have that right. And right now they're going to be trapped in 1950, 1960 if we go RB, especially with the setbacks. All this data is in my 10 documents, including a very detailed analysis of RB versus RC. But to summarize it to some of these residents here, RB is mainly for a lot that is over an acre. It's the perfect cookie cutter. So if you have a perfect cookie cutter, like Lady Slipper Lane, I was hoping they were gonna be here, I know they're not, but they are a perfect cookie cutter, and it fits them beautifully. When you have a 1950s lot, it does not fit you. And I was gonna, this was one of my maps, and speak, I think last, but this is where we live. So this is Monmouth and McFarland, and you could see this IA creep. This is the creep, I call it, and it's between Turnpike and Route 3. It starts at Mill, and it's just nothing but industrial. And we are just these oddballs. So there's a home.
Sean, can you address us, please?
Yes, so this is what I call really the IA, and it's creeped. And this is Monmouth and McFarland. And this is, the end of Monmouth, and you can see how close, like you're going CBLT here, CBLT here, but this is somebody's home. And this is IA, and this is Apollo Drive. And that home is actually 30 feet from Apollo Drive. I mean, it is, they're right there. I would definitely say it's not an RB neighborhood when you look at that map. But, I mean, we gotta work what we got.
And I just want to clarify, RC is two-family, RB is single-family. So, yes, there are different setbacks and what have you, but the main driver is
Right.
RC is two families. RB is
Before we
one.
get into the
Yeah.
discussion about RC versus RB, I would like to give other residents a chance to speak.
Okay, but just to clarify that point, only 4 homes would qualify out of the 38 for two-family. So you can be two-family with RC, but you have to have the right dimensions. So out of 38, you're talking 4, and you would have to, economically and sewer restrictions, it makes it impossible. So it's not, there could be one home that I think is kind of older that could be a threat to be converted, but it's not the end of the world. If somebody tears down a home and makes an A and a B, I think the economic pain of freezing 38 homes for that one possibility.
Okay, Sean, I am going to stop you there because we do need to keep moving and give other people a chance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other residents wish to speak?
My name is Philip Perrin. I'm at 101 River Neck Road. I saw a bunch of things. I didn't see any numbers on all the lots. They were just, kind of squares drawn out. I'm just wondering if my lot is one of the ones that are gonna be changed. I have a small carpentry business. I've run out of there for 20 years.
Evan, can you bring,
Is that gonna put any restrictions on me if I'm changed out of IA?
So 101 is,
That's the one next to,
That has the
That's-
right of way for the electric company you were talking about. That runs basically next to my house, almost over my roof.
This you? That's 121.
no, that's not, no, it looks,
I'm
looks
right
like the
close
one
to
that looks
Tony's.
like it's a house, the one.
Across from the cemetery.
Yep, across
Yeah.
from the cemetery. Everything on beside me is
fire station.
industrial.
That's the fire station, so that one right there.
Yeah, I have
yeah.
the fire station. I have a pigeon club in front of me.
Yeah, yeah.
oh, that one,
That's
okay.
So you're
It's
running,
a 15,000 square lot, and I don't even know how they have a building on it.
yeah,
So you're contracting out of your house, correct? Okay, so that would be considered a home business.
Okay.
So that would be allowed in, so the proposal would be to change you from IA to residential RB, and that would allow a home business as well.
And you'd also be grandfathered in.
you'd be grandfathered
Yeah.
in. It's just
Yeah.
like Christopher Towing, you're an RB. You're not, that's RB, isn't it? Your property? Yeah, you're residential, but you run your towing business. Yeah, because they're grandfathered
They're
in.
grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, he's owned RB, but he's grandfathered
But
in.
that's going to restrict my lot from doing any type of industrial building on it?
Correct.
I would prefer not to change my lot, because I bought it like that. Why
I
can't it-
understand. You
Why
may
can't it
wanna
stay, why
look
can't
at-
it stay like that?
Well,
So he's going from IA to RB,
Yeah.
He has a home on.
on it.
and he has a
running
home
his
on it,
business.
and he has his business out of it.
Did you plan on changing your business? What you're gonna be doing?
No?
Then you
I
would
mean,
be grandfathered in.
You want to sell it to a warehouse when you leave?
I don't know. That should be my option, that should be my choice, right? Because right next to me
So it
is,
would be,
No, we
right
don't.
next,
we-
right next to me is a twin trucking. Beside it, there's a trucking company there, there's a company that runs buses out of there.
those are gonna be
Those will
changed,
also be
changed to CB.
changed to CB Light.
So what does that mean?
Could his
So
be
it's-
CB
There's
Light
already,
versus RB?
there are industrial
Could?
buildings that are there already.
They're grandfathered in as their current role.
Right, but we're going from those ones to IA to CBLT, he's going from IA to RB. Could he go to CBLT?
Yeah, so
with that?
the properties across the street would be grandfathered in, their current uses
Well, they're
would be
not across the
allowed.
street, they're right next to me.
Or
The fire station is next to me.
B and RB.
the fire station is across the street
Directly
from
next
there,
to
right?
me. No, it's
No,
directly next
no,
to
no,
me.
no.
Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong house.
You're thinking the wrong lot, yeah, so that lot right there.
Across the
Those
street from me
that
is a cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could do CB Light,
Okay.
which would have the same uses, you know,
These ones here.
as
they are
IA, like would have a lot of the same uses as IA, with the exception of like the really,
I mean, I don't plan on building a
Objectionable
warehouse
ones.
there or anything, I just don't want to be restricted. That's how I bought the property.
Isn't there certain restrictions underneath his property now by being an IA zone for what he has? Because didn't we talk about that before too? Like if he wants to do anything to his property because it's IA, there's more restrictions? Like more setbacks, things like that? So you're
Well, I mean,
already
the-
being restricted on your property.
See, when I tore down a house there, and the board here would not they made me keep a piece of the old block foundation. And when they came to inspect, they made me tear it out. So now, and so, not only that, I mean, I'm on top of that right of way.
It is,
I mean, I'm maybe 5 feet.
so he has more restrictions with IA regarding setbacks.
right, so if he wanted to do anything today, he's in the IA zone for his property and he would have more setbacks and everything else. So you're underneath a very restrictive area today on your property.
I'm on 3.9 acres.
Right,
And it would actually become even more restrictive because it's going to be abutting residential.
but CB Light,
Well, what's next to me is, the cemetery owns the property next to me. It's in between me and this gentleman's home.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie Melville. I live at 6 Monmouth Street. First, some questions of mine were answered about the 129 overlay, so I'm glad that's going to be removed from our street and all the areas around it, so thank you for that. I did have a question. So I live next to that lot that's been under discussion, that vacant lot. I live directly next to it. If it were rezoned RB or RC, could somebody build on it? I've just been doing some research about pre-existing non-conforming lots, and so I'd just like that answer. I don't know if that's an answer you can give me. If you can't, I would like to know who could provide that answer for me, if it was sold to somebody after being zoned RB or RC.
so only if, right now, if it was, so say it's RB, and it's less than an acre, you can't put a house on it unless you go through the ZBA, correct me if I'm wrong. For a waiver, they go through the ZBA to do that, which means that's a whole process, and neighbors get, would get notified.
Or unless
That would be
she
a
bought
variance,
it.
and I don't think they would, I don't think.
I mean, if she bought it, she could put an ADU on it, right?
Sure.
Where you can,
I mean, I don't want to do that, but.
Yeah, or, but you can, like,
You or the,
Yeah, the
who is it?
Yeah.
The,
Okay,
Riga's old house is on the other side, right?
the Grahams are the other side.
Okay, so anyway, if you bought it or they bought it, then you could build an ADU, but otherwise, I don't think it's buildable.
yeah, I mean, I had a neighbor, because I live in East Chelmsford as well, so none of us have acre lots out there. They actually split their lot and had smaller than an acre land. And she, she called me up, she called up all the neighbors, she wanted to build a house on that, less than an acre. She had to go through the zoning board to get a waiver, and I mean, it's beautiful, and it immediately added more value to us. When she was originally asked me, I was a little like, oh God, she's gonna see into my neighbor, like into my yard, all of that. I will tell you, I was apprehensive about it, but I knew the family, and it looked like a nice house, so I didn't oppose it or anything. But, lesson learned to me, because it actually really is a nice home, and not too close, and it actually improved the street. But
When
I will
did
tell
she
you.
do that?
Huh?
What year did she do that?
Not too long ago. I mean, I would
okay.
say 15 years.
Okay.
So now someone could do that? Go to the ZBA and get a waiver?
Well, I mean, you'd have to seek a variance. It would be a variance,
A variance,
not
sorry.
a special permit.
Be very
And
unlikely today.
It would be unlikely. The only other thing is that somebody who wanted to build a 40B could potentially do that there, because there, the zoning is, that overrules the local zoning. ZBA just makes the decision, but they have criteria that are very difficult to meet.
Yeah, but how big of a 40B could you put on that little lot?
You'd be surprised.
Is that only if we're below the 10% threshold for that to happen, or what's
Yeah,
the?
yeah, we would
Okay.
have to not meet the statutory minimum, and I think right now that's a little bit of a question mark.
Okay.
So that's something that we're actively trying to stay above, but that would
is a-
be
yeah.
it would not be allowed under zoning. The only thing they could possibly do is seek a variance. I don't think they would get that. The only other thing is if some 40B developer tried to do it.
Okay,
That's
great.
about the only-
That's my biggest, I love everything that you've been proposing. I'm just worried about that next to me. I know, it's right in the middle of our neighborhood and everybody loves it, so that's my biggest concern. So I'm glad to hear that it would be very unlikely for the ZBA to approve a variance, but I do worry about the little bit possibility of it.
What are your thoughts about public, it being zoned public?
Public, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know what value it really adds for the town, and I don't know what value it adds as conservation land. I'm open to whatever avenue just keeps it kind of the way it is. So I'm open to all of the above, I guess.
So if it goes to conservation, can they put like a playground on it? Like a small little
Not for
playground on it?
conservation, I don't think so.
It
If it were
depends on the
public, right?
conservation restrictions that they decide to put on it.
Because I'm thinking like, we haven't, like up by Carlisle, we've got a small little playground by the school there.
Typically, they're not doing playground properties. They're doing
I was gonna say.
pollinator gardens, things like that.
Well, we don't need to solve that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Otherwise, I really like all the zoning you've been proposing. I think that RB makes a lot more sense versus RC. I know there's some people have questions about the setbacks and how RB is more restrictive than RC, but IA is more restrictive than RB. And I know people, myself included, who have been able to do additions even when we've been zoned IA, and we're one of the smaller properties on the street. We did require a variance to build our portico on the side of our house under IA, but had we been RB, we wouldn't have needed that variance. So I think RB is great, and I do realize that most of the lots are non-conforming because they're under the 40,000 square feet, but the RB zoning was created back in, I think, 1998. And a lot of the town is zoned it, even including places in the Westlands, which we all know those are very small properties, so it's not out of the ordinary to have homes on lots that are smaller than 40,000 square feet be zoned RB. And I just think it helps prevent, like we talked about, duplexes being built, and the RC has very low setbacks. I know about the side setbacks from our addition, but for IA, it was 40 feet For RB, it's 25, but for RC, it's only 15. So if we're RB versus RC, it prevents people from building additions that are overly large and encroach upon our neighborhoods. And I really appreciate the board wanting to protect us in that way. Yeah, so, I mean, bottom line is, it's a messed up area. It's like toothpaste out of the tube kind of situation, and I really appreciate you guys trying to find the best solution for everybody who's there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, before you come back up, I'd like to give other people an opportunity to speak if there are others.
Hi, good evening. I'm Craig Walsh. I live at, I own 128 and 140 Riverneck Road, the place with the trailers, Mr. Needy. I've been there 46 years. I've been running a business out of there since 1984 with my father, before he retired. I worked for the town for 37 years, and I retired 2 years ago this July. And I'm currently still running my business there, raising my family. My children both all live there with us. And I own 15 acres there. And you're talking about...
50.
I'm sorry?
I just didn't catch what you said, 15 or 50?
15 acres. And for years, I've been surrounded by commercial buildings.
Yeah.
You know, I have an IA building right across the street from me. I've lived there my whole life. Never had any issues with that. Next door, they put twin trucking in. Again, no issues with that. My abutter is the East Chelmsford Water District. My other abutter is the UPS building down the street, and the cemetery. And I think, like this gentleman said, you know, our properties, we bought them under an IEA district. You know, maybe future development down the road or something. I have no plans of that at the time. My family's all living there with me. But you talk about removing the overlay. Wasn't that a pretty tedious process to get the overlay into place? And how easy is it just to say we're going to remove it?
Town meeting
A
has
meeting vote.
votes on that.
To remove it?
Yep.
Okay. And how long did it take to get the overlay in place?
Town meeting had a vote on that.
Okay. But there was a lot put into putting that overlay into...
Right, and the 129 overlay would still remain, just not on these properties.
Okay. And where are you stopping on Riverneck Road? It seems like you came to the other side of the little connector, and which is where I am.
Yep.
And that's where you're ending?
Because the rest of it's RB, like then you go past the cemetery
Cemetery.
and we go into RB, and that's all RB.
Okay.
So where we've been having problems has been around the Mercury building, anything that's in the IA district. The developers are looking at that, sometimes not realizing that there's no easy access to 495 and Route 3. And, you know, like one of the things we went through was the distribution center.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
that's allowed, or it was allowed at the time. So, and there was a contractor yard that came up in front of, that we wanted to go there. You know, a lot of heavy trucks, you know, now going on a smaller road that really can't support it or what have you. So that's why we looked at CB Light, like what types of businesses would be appropriate next to neighborhoods or, you know, smaller roads, you know, similar to Kate's Corner. And that's why we came up with the CB Light zoning. So we're taking away the IA, which has those really negative effects to the neighborhood, and replacing it with the CB Light.
Okay.
Again, it's really to protect.
I understand what you're
whole
talking about
area
as far as
like, you know,
neighborhoods.
neighborhood
But
truck traffic.
once you get to the other side of Route 3 and the little connector, I don't live in a neighborhood. I've never lived in a neighborhood. I live on a very busy street. In fact, they just put speed limit signs up in front of my house finally after
Yep.
40 years. This is like a racetrack there, you know, it always has been. And I just think that, you know, you're talking about neighborhoods, and I completely understand McFarland Road, Monmouth Street, all that. Those are all neighborhoods, and you don't want that heavy traffic there. I understand that. But once you get to the other side of the little connector, we're surrounded by industrial buildings.
Right.
And you want to limit me to a residential.
No, yours was RB, yes.
You listed me as
yeah,
RB.
Yeah, So those other buildings, CB Light, would allow for those types of buildings under CB Light. Those like office buildings, that type of building.
What about multifamily housing?
Not in CB Light.
Not
That's
in
only-
CB Light.
No, that's not in CB Light. That would
Okay.
be RC district.
RC.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I think maybe you need to look at it a little bit more. Once you get to the other side of the bridge, we're an industrial area right there. I'm surrounded. The only two houses that are there are my two.
I know, I understand that.
That's it.
I live on Columbus Ave, so I go straight down River Neck, take a left.
Yep.
So, and I grew up on Manning Road.
But you ended at what we call it Nellie's Corner there. You kind of ended it right there, I think at 101 River Neck Road is where you kind of ended where you're making any changes to the zoning.
The
Right.
challenge with River Neck Road is that you've got the industrial area right in the middle where those highways are, but you've got single-family residential on both ends of River Neck. And for all of the impacts, or for any industrial development in that center, the only way through to get there is through those residential areas. And that's where the negative impacts of IA are felt. Not in that center area, but in both ends. And those are the neighborhoods we're also trying to protect with these changes.
But River Neck Road's been a cut-through for years from Route 3A to 129. That's how people get to Chelmsford Center, coming through Lowell. That's how they get there. They're not taking the highways, you know?
We're not trying to protect against car traffic, because I think most of us realize that is a pretty significant cut through to get there. I use that path all the time to get to the center. But it's the heavy construction traffic, the heavy truck traffic, that we're trying to protect those neighborhoods from with these changes.
Yeah, like I said, we do have the heavy trucks.
We do.
With
We do.
UPS,
We do.
I mean.
But we're trying to limit
The
that with
potential
these
for
changes.
what
But
has
wouldn't it be a
come.
little bit better maybe to end it at McFarland Road, your proposed changes, as opposed to coming to where I'd be living across the street from an industrial building. I have UPS behind me. All my abutters are industrial. Now you're gonna take my piece of property and change it just across the street from an industrial building.
Would you prefer CB light instead of residential?
I don't know what I would prefer. I just need to research it a little bit more, but just to make these changes, that's why I'm here tonight, to get educated on this.
If you take a look at the link on the agenda for the use table of CB Light, it'll give you an idea of what is allowed, what isn't allowed in there. And let us know if that is more desirable for you than the residential designation.
Okay.
So it's kind of lined up, CB Light IA and all the uses. So it's yes or no. So you can see where the distinctions are.
So it breaks it down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So there is someone on Zoom who has their hand raised.
Okay.
Zoom user. You want to unmute yourself and video on, please?
And please introduce your name and address for the record.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I had myself on mute. So good evening. My name is Chris Graham. I live on Monmouth Street. I'm the abutter of that vacant lot that Katie Melville was just speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved here 19 years ago, my wife and I, and we chose Chelmsford because it's a small town that it valued its characteristics, its open spaces, it's a quiet residential pocket. We moved here to get away from the dense, squeezed-in overdevelopment. So I'm here tonight with the support of my neighbors, including the only other direct abutter to that parcel. We're the individuals who live alongside this land every single day. We are there, unanimously, and we oppose this parcel being declared surplus to be sold or developed. So it's something I really just want to get my point across tonight with this meeting. Chelmsford's current 7-year open space recreation plan explicitly states, and I'm just reading here, so this is verbatim, its core municipal goal is to enhance climate resilience, protect neighborhood natural resources, and preserve dwindling open pockets of land. Selling this municipal lot completely contradicts the town's published promises. So, it's a small lot. It's 0.34 acres. And it might look, just like something small, a simple line on a, town spreadsheet. But the OSRP recognizes that small neighborhood level green space in their virtual buffers. This land, it serves as a natural drainage, absorbs stormwater. It acts as a localized wildlife corridor. I mean, developing it's going to remove those functions permanently. I mean, this is, there's a mismatch here with the zoning. I understand that's really what this is all about. But, we're saturating this town. I mean, for over the past decade, our neighborhood in the town, it's seen aggressively open space development. Our infrastructure, local roads, the neighborhood's character. I mean, we're at a tipping point. When are we going to stop? I feel like it just keeps happening. And I talk to my neighbors and friends in this town, and it's always the same comments. It's just like, oh my God, we just keep building, and it's just, when's it going to stop? We don't have enough teachers and schools, and the stormwater, the runoff, the sewage. There's all nothing but complaints. And I understand, like, we want to bring in revenue, and I'm all about that. But we've done our part to absorb this growth. We just can't afford to lose the few natural buffers that we have left. So, correcting this inequity with the zoning, our neighborhood is currently caught in the IA mismatch, forcing commercial potential or dense plan for open space development into this tiny parcel, it's directly abutting 38 residential homes. I feel like it's bad planning. It's just going to worsen an existing zoning error instead of fixing it. So just to get to my point, I know you have a lot of people that want to, make their points tonight. I mean, we urge, like, the select board tonight to listen to the direct abutters, refuse to declare this parcel as surplus land. Do not open this door to a private sale. And that's pretty much it. I thank you for your time and all the people that are supporting our town, trying to keep this town's character and charm. Thanks again.
Thank you.
I have a question for the speaker, for Mr. Graham. So are you also then in favor of zoning that parcel as public?
I'm not sure, what would the direct benefit be to us as a direct abutters for it to be public? Besides, obviously we protect it from being sold.
Sold or built on.
Right, as opposed to being zoned residential.
I'm not opposed to that. I mean, I'm also not opposed to, like Anita was speaking about the situation 15 years ago where the neighbor, split the land with her other abutter, and they did a ADU or an addition or something like that. I mean, I'd be open to anything that would protect that land and just leave it as it is, or, just add on to our backyards, because our kids all play on there, and, we love having that natural buffer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members wish to speak?
I'm going to be brief this time. I just wanted to follow up with the other abutters that I've heard. So, I mean, the lot is, everybody cares about it, and I think everybody independently would like to own it, but that's a roll of the dice, and the safest thing I think everybody is independently saying is they like it the way it is, which is exactly why I'm proposing making it P and then conservation, and you'll never have to worry about something going there. And, like I said before, there were 5 houses on Monmouth, and they get added. And to add some more information that I haven't previously said, that lot has a sewer connection. So that somebody that studies it could see that, and and then I think you could probably bring it to court, and you could challenge when the town took ownership, and you could say, hey, look, I want to play by when the town took ownership, and you don't know what a judge would say. So it's dicey to leave it just open like that. Secondly, I'd like to add on the RC topic that I heard one abutter suggest that they added on, which is true. And I would like to add that based upon that lot size, they would have never been able to add a third onto their property if it was RB. They did have to conform to the setback, but they played by the IA FAR rules, which was 40%. So they would be taking that right that they just exercised a year and a half ago of adding a third on their property away from every McFarland and Monmouth residents. And that threat of duplex is only limited to 4 parcels of the 38, and it would be a tear down and the sewer connection. I think you're only allowed 5 bedrooms, so you'd have to tear down a single family, make a duplex that has, I think it's 2 bedrooms. So it's not feasible to tear down any of these houses to build a duplex. And I think, I know, based upon just some quick analysis, that some of these board members live in RC. And I would say that the board members that live in RC, they're not seeing that. And if you look at these neighborhoods, which they're right nearby us, you'd see that, they're great neighborhoods. They're, I would say that they're nice. They got sidewalks, it's clean. RC does not destroy, it just gives the homeowners what they want today, which is if you want to add a sunroom, if you want to add a mudroom, if you want to add a porch, and that neighbor, they just did that. And I would like to see how that would play out under RB. And then the last comment I'd like to make is, I think you heard about 140 Riverneck Road, MT Walsh. He's making good points, but that's also on our water supply. So we have to consider that carefully. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak?
Just got a couple quick questions, more for clarity. So Tom Bishop.
Could you wait till you're at the mic? Thank you.
Tom Bishop, 201 Riverneck Road. We own the left building of that Mercury headquarters that used to be there. The right one is 199. Mainly just wondering what the CBLT does for us. What happens if we can keep operating the same way we're operating? And then the 129 overlay, that going away, does that affect us in any way, or do we just continue doing business as we are now?
So it is currently an office building, correct?
Yep, it's the old Mercury building.
Yeah. So that would continue. It is actually allowed in CBLT as well. So there's no change in your operations. The operations would be allowed under the new zone as well.
Just to be clear, you're grandfathered in, so you can just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Okay. And
But
then
someone who comes after you could also be doing what you're doing because CB Light would allow that.
Okay, and then as far as like other tenants moving in, because we only occupy about 60% of the building, and we have no plans to ever do a distribution center. We're actually never probably even going to sell the building, so good news for all the residents. You don't have to worry about that side of it, but we just want to know if it would affect us in any way.
No, actually, if you go to the use table that we've linked to in the agenda, it actually lists out the uses that you're now able to do that you wouldn't be able to do in the IA. Retail is now allowed in CBLT, whereas it's not allowed in IA.
Okay.
Like a coffee shop.
Coffee,
Like
yeah.
one of,
Oh,
like,
cool.
in North Chelmsford, the mill buildings, we changed that from IA to CBLT because someone wanted to, the owner had a tenant that wanted to put in a coffee shop, which are, popular and stuff like that. So you get a little bit more of those types of uses, which are more neighborhood friendly.
Okay. As far as like for freight deliveries we get to the building currently, that doesn't get impacted?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Any other residents?
Resident.
Yes. Sorry. I started speaking before I looked up.
Song. I live on 36 Monmouth Street, and I just have a very quick comment. And very much in support with Sean. Based on what he said, it just gives us more options. So I don't have any plans to make my house bigger or anything like that, but just the very fact that I'm not restricted is just I can sleep at night. So it just gives, again, just the options it's there. And I'm not sure if others, I haven't heard any strong arguments. If you listen to Sean's point, only 4 doesn't conform to 36 doesn't conform. And I don't think you should be pushing or punishing the rest of the, like 32 residents. So,
I have a question for you, Song. That is, so if you were zoned RC,
yeah.
then what would be your feeling if one or more of your neighbors decided to go to a duplex instead of a single family? Is that fine? Is that
to be honest, yeah, not too concerned.
don't care one way or another?
Yeah, to be honest. I mean, it's not an apartment building. It's just a
right. It would
duplex.
just be a duplex.
Yeah, I'm not deeply concerned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other residents?
I know there are residents here, like, that maybe are shy to speak up. I really would like their input, because, again, this is, for those of you who haven't spoken, I really would, like your input on what we're doing, especially for your property, your area. Please don't be shy. If you want to email us afterwards, all our emails are on the website. Please reach out. And again, this is your neighborhood. These are your properties. We want this to be a collaborative. We want to do what's right. Thank you.
Talk to
Hi, I'm Fred Gallagher. I live at 222 Riverneck Road. I believe it's now the oldest house on Riverneck Road. I have pictures from the Historical Society where there's nothing else except for this house in the middle of the road. I want to commend you all. I was growing tired of having to come here at least once a year to fight for my neighborhood, to keep it a neighborhood. And I think this takes a lot of that away, in that it allows for certain things, but not enough to the detriment of our neighborhood. There's still some fine tuning, I know, to go, but I'm happy to be here tonight. I was here mostly because the charts were kind of hard to read this big. Mm-hmm. So it was good to come here and get your input on that. And I want to at least say thank you for doing what you can to save our neighborhood, because it is very difficult having residential, industrial, and residential. Mm-hmm. So I do appreciate your efforts, and hopefully they will continue. And if not, I will be here again complaining rather than saying thank you. But I think you're on the right track. Thanks.
I was just 2 quick points that I forgot. I was just kind of sidetracked by the RC and that lot. I wanted to talk about that small house that in the 5-acre lot. So I think Evan knows right where I'm going. Yeah. So
one, yeah.
yeah. Okay. So yes. So I mean, we're all aware that there was a contractor yard that I think we're in legal battle with. So I mean, I think that you're looking at CBLT here because we know who the applicant is, but I think, based upon its location, and especially that we have 5 acres that is blank, we shouldn't just automatically assume that we want some type of industrial here. I believe that, these 2 buildings, they're in, but this 5-acre lot isn't in. So it's a blank slate. So I would probably recommend it RB. And somebody is living in that house now, and it's a house. So I think we could keep it RB. The reality is that we know we have issues on Riverneck Road, that we have no sidewalks, it's windy, it's not suitable for truck traffic or heavy loads. It's not 129, and there is not a connection. And if you look at the map, Evan, can you zoom out so we can actually see 129? Can you pull it towards 129? Just head down a little bit more. So what you're seeing, I think you could go even further, all the way to, was it Mill Road? What you're going to see here is, this is the industrial section. It's 129. And to be an industrial player, you have to connect to 129. Now, what happened was it jumped over Riverneck Road, and it shouldn't have. It should have stayed with the 129 connection. So I don't think we should encourage any more jumping, even though, so be cautious on, I mean, I know we got a legal battle that could play out either way, but I don't think we need to just hand them superior zoning on those two parcels.
So Sean, if you had seen the last meeting, actually there was a bit of debate on the board about that particular parcel.
I watched it, yes.
Okay, so that you know that the argument on the reason for considering it CB Light is because it creates a little pocket island of residential in the middle of CB Light. And what we're trying to do is eliminate zoning conflicts, and that essentially creates one. So that's why we were looking to exclude it, so that we could have contiguous sections of zoning, either residential or CB Light. That just puts a little sore thumb of residential right in the middle of CB Light.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. You know, I look at the machine shop and I look at that old former Mercury building as very quiet. You know, so I don't particularly look at either one of those sites as disruptive, but that could change, I guess. So I think I'm saying if there was residents there, I don't think they would be disturbed by the actions. That machine shop, I believe you said at the last meeting, was the cleanest machine shop you've ever seen. It is very nice, and I believe that second former Mercury building, they're re-gutting it into a warehouse, is what I saw on the internet. So I don't know what the future of that is, but there's no good connection here. So I think if the more activity you put in this corridor, the more traffic on Riverneck Road. And we definitely know there's problems with connectivity of Riverneck Road. The IA, it jumped over. Riverneck Road is an old windy farm road. It's really not suited. 129 is. It's 5 lanes wide at one point. Apollo Drive is an industrial lane. It is.
I need to interrupt you because we're not proposing to keep that IA. We're
Right,
proposing
CBLT.
to change it to CB Light.
Right.
Where warehouses and contractor yards are not allowed.
Have
Right.
you looked at the use table for CB Light?
I have, but I think a lot of what we're seeing now, like these buildings, their uses fit into CBLT Light. There are certainly some uses in CBLT that could increase traffic more than a residential. I believe that RB would be more, if there were 5 single-family homes there, would generate less traffic than some type of office complex or mixed use or gym. I'm not really sure what they put there, but I think if you were just looking at a clean slate, you would think you probably wouldn't put those 3 buildings that we see there right now. But they're there. We're not going to change that. So the question is, should we add a 4th because 3 are already there?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to make a point of clarification. I don't know if everybody knows this, but that
address.
house that they're talking
Would you
about,
state
Chris
your name and
Ferrera, 81 Riverneck, 76 Riverneck, and 12 Gorham Street, Chelmsford. So I bounce around a lot. That little house right there out in front of the commercial building, that little house, that was commercially zoned and it was a repair shop for a while. Very small. The owner that lived there worked in there, but he ran a repair shop until he sold the house. So I just wanted to make that clarification that there was, I know there's people living in it now, but
Yeah.
at one time it was a little repair shop.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm back, because I wanted to comment a little bit more on your question. Sorry, Mr.
Yeah.
Joel.
Yeah.
You asked me about if I'm concerned if there were more multifamily. I'm actually not concerned at all. But
I didn't say multifamily, I said duplex.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Duplex. Clear difference. But one thing that Sean mentioned, and I live in Monmouth Street, is that in his research, he said that the current sewer system in Monmouth would only support up to 5 bedrooms per lot. And that would make it kind of hard to break into multifamily, I would think, because it's a severe limitation. But I'm not concerned. I mean, property values are pretty expensive as it is throughout. I mean, I think other people should have access to owning a home, and it's small Yeah, I'm not concerned about density in my neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any other residents wish to speak? Okay. At this point, I'm going to have the board, any items that came up, want to discuss? Any topics, concerns, questions?
I would like Mr. Perrin and Mr. Walsh to look at the CB Light uses. Since obviously your use will be grandfathered, but for any subsequent sale of your property for a potential use, or I guess a modification of use, to look and see if you think those things are reasonable to you. If we were to change the zoning from RB to CB Light for your properties, I'd be very interested in your input on that.
We're IA right now, right?
Yeah, you're IA right now, yeah.
One comment I do have on that, I was looking at the GIS, and obviously Mr. Walsh's property, but also Mr. Perrin's property, significant wetlands on those properties. And the 101 River Neck actually has a vernal pool on that property as well. So I think.
That pool was created by the state when the.
Could you come up to the microphone?
So that was created by the state when 495 came through. I don't know if you are aware of who lived on Bartlett Ave back there, but that was Loretta Moore. And so I can tell you much about that property. So that pool that's right next to the highway, that was created.
Yep.
So that's really not wetlands.
It is actually.
That's a settling pool for water that was never there before.
It is.
It was never there before 495 came through.
Yeah, but now it is.
And
now
that was
now it's
created.
considered by the state's regulatory wetland, regardless of how it got there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so they can change.
Things can change, even old stormwater things that get neglected after some period of time.
I mean, because
can
I
become wetlands.
also have water that runs out of the storm drains from the cemetery onto my property that was in a pipe that clogged, and they tore the pipe out. Now you're calling it wetlands.
Well,
It's supposed to be in a pipe,
yeah,
and
but I
that
mean,
pipe clogged.
things can become regulatory wetlands, but they don't all just happen because of clogged pipes. I mean, there
Well,
has to be
the-
conditions in the soil and so forth. So it has
Well, I
to
mean,
be
the
an enduring
condition was,
time.
with the agreement was that was gonna be in a pipe,
I don't mean
in
to
a
debate
pipe.
the issue with you. I just
Okay.
pointing out the fact that they
Uh-huh.
can in fact be regulatory wetlands.
Okay.
That's all. They can be.
Okay, I'm gonna
Okay,
stop this debate.
I mean, they also added a drainage and drained it onto my property from the road.
Sir, I understand that.
Okay.
But there are certified wetlands there and a certified vernal pool there now.
Okay.
So given that, I would not be willing to keep that as an IA zone, either one of those properties. I think CB Light is a decent alternative, and provides protections for those wetlands. It also indicates to me, given the size of the wetlands on those properties, there's not much that's going to be able to be built there in the future anyway. Even if we did keep it IA, the buildability of those lots in the future is going to be pretty significantly limited. So,
I know through variances that things happen because the buildings that were built behind me, there's 40 feet from wetlands was allowed. The building is 40 feet from wetlands. That's allowable?
not likely today.
It's there. It's there.
So anyway, so I think at this point, if you could take a look at the CB Light uses, let us know if that's amenable to you at our next meeting, or email us, either way. Any other comments or questions from board members?
I still like the idea of that section being changed to P that we were looking at for that land, yeah.
I already
on
changed
Mimmoth.
it on the slide.
Oh, did you?
I figured you would be fine with that, so I already changed it on the slide.
Did we want to discuss RB and RC at all? Or do we want to hold that?
So I can give some thoughts. I think if you look at the residential along River Neck, the residential that's there now is RB. RC, while that area has some RC near that end of Riverneck, it's actually along Golden Cove Road, Billerica Road. It's closer to the center. It's not really further out Riverneck. If you look at the other end of Riverneck, again, that's also RB, not RC. So I also think that it's going to be a balance between protecting the properties that are there now and buildability for the future. While it's true, it would require variances for people to build. Variances are granted. RC does provide the ability to do 2 families and less of a setback. So people who don't want to build are going to get less protection.
I'm not sure what you're in favor of. I am not in favor of changing it to RC. I was just curious.
I'm not
what-
either.
Okay.
Regarding the sewer issue, yes, there, we have a sewer moratorium and stuff like that, but as you know, on your street, when they want to add duplexes, they build septic systems. And so like that, just because they can't connect to the sewer, doesn't necessarily, it prevents
It doesn't
you
prevent them from building, right?
from building. So,
And just like on my neighborhood, you have the water department and the aquifers and things like that to contend with there as well.
And I was also looking at
Folks, please.
I was also looking at other areas within Chelmsford as he was talking about it. There is a lot of small lots that are RB, mine included, and that's okay.
all of East Chelmsford is RB.
Yeah.
I do think it would be worthwhile to do an exercise on the FAR, to see if, I'd like if we could maybe, Evan Atkins maybe sit with you or with with Jose and go through the FAR calc, and maybe that's something we change to allow for reasonable additions, like a garage. But again, with those RB setbacks, that allows, the abutters to have that ability and that space. And
Didn't
then
we try and
through-
do that and it got turned down by town meeting a couple years ago?
I think it was a little too, because I voted against it.
Liberalizing.
It was a little too, I had issues specifically for the RC and duplexes and multifamily. Like, I was fine with it on the single-family side, not on the multifamily side. And that was my issue, to be quite honest, on it. But I think it's worth revisiting, because I have heard that from other areas. And again, I don't think it's necessarily bad to change it. If that's the only issue that I'm hearing, right, but I would like to recalculate each property on the FAR to see where we are with that.
So Anita, you're taking that?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a math person.
She's volunteered herself.
And then I also would like to kind of re-talk about the 5-acre lot across the way, because I keep going back and forth with that.
Okay.
I think it might be a nice place for a
We need
little
more housing.
village,
We need more housing.
small village housing.
All right.
But that would be,
So
That would create, I think, another zoning
that would
conflict.
create another zoning
Yeah.
conflict.
that's the problem.
And that's what we're trying to
Why
avoid
don't
in
we
doing.
ask them? I know this is only what do you guys want there on that big acre lot that's all?
Well, no, let's not get into that right now.
There's gonna be
So
future hearings.
let's, as a board,
That's
think
a whole nother
about,
debate.
let's think about that 5-acre lot. Let's think about RC versus RB. Anita, you'll take a look at the FAR for
Yep.
next meeting. Sean, I'm gonna ask you not,
Okay, I wasn't sure if you asked about the opinion of the 5-acre.
no, not tonight.
Not tonight, he cut me
We
off.
do have other
We'll have more
items to
meetings.
get
Come back
to.
for the They'll be on the next meeting.
Next meeting.
The small parcel,
Justin,
make
you
sure
wanna give
everyone's
your
in favor of looking at that as a P.
Can you give us a present on that
You'll
already?
reach out to conservation.
Yeah, I'll reach out to conservation before the next meeting to see if they would entertain looking at it in terms of Conservation?
I like it as the wildlife corridor that I heard. That's nice.
Good marketing tool.
I have that in my backyard.
All right, any other topics for tonight on this one? All right. I would like to thank all the residents for showing up and discussing this with us. We are.
And Anita for her great job.
Yes, thank you. We are going to continue this. Anita, you'll update the slides. Okay. We will continue this one more meeting and see how things go. And then we'll take a look at it next meeting and see if we're close enough to get to a draft for a public hearing later this summer. Okay, so at this point, I will take a motion to continue.
I move that we continue this. You want to push this to the 24th?
Yeah, next meeting.
Yeah, next meeting, okay.
Yeah.
Move that we continue our discussion of this.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Deirdre. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We will continue this next meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Does not want to stay in tonight.
All right.
The one that,
Try this one.
Next item on the agenda
oh, that doesn't even want to stay up.
is data center zoning.
Falls right down.
So,
I've
Joel.
had this one before, the same thing, you go to hit it.
Folks, if you're gonna have a discussion, please bring that outside so we can continue this meeting.
Shut the door.
I read that article.
How do I make this go away? How do I want
Folks,
this
if
to
you're
go
gonna
away?
be discussing, please.
I don't know what happened there.
There you go. Thank you. No worries. I have kids who
Thank you.
keyboards where they're not
I'm
supposed
surprised
to
someone's
be.
stayed for the
All
data
things
centers.
are gonna go from-
Look at Aaron's staying here.
Oh, Aaron.
Well, thank you.
Are you being sarcastic?
Evan, do we have anyone on Zoom?
Not at this point.
Okay.
They're all good.
All right.
This is where they.
So at this point,
Goodness gracious.
we had homework to take a look at the data center zoning, give thoughts and opinions as to how we might want to do this. Joel, do you have anything to add?
Well, just that Chris did a yeoman's amount of work, which I just looked at most recently and went, wow, this is really good stuff. So basically what he did was he, well, actually, do you want to talk about what you did? Or do you want me to talk about what you did?
I can talk about it. So I didn't send it out to everyone, but essentially what I did is I took a look and found that there's a company called the International Data Corporation, IDC, that actually categorizes and sizes data centers. They have different types of data centers. They have warehouse, manufacturing, traditional data center, AI data center. They're categorizing it mostly by power demand, but they also categorize them roughly by square footage. They've also added a new category called hyperscale, which is essentially the new AI data centers. They have, they talk about how regulating data centers by building size or square footage isn't necessarily effective, because you could have different types of data centers in the same square footage using vastly different amounts of energy.
So it doesn't recognize the impact.
Correct.
Appropriately.
A warehouse data center in 100 square feet could be up to 1 megawatt of power demand. An AI training data center in 100,000 square feet could be 30 to 100 plus megawatts of power. So the square footage doesn't necessarily give the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
And with technology changing, a lot of what you're seeing in terms of the cooling towers, backup generators, things like that, all of that technology is changing as rapidly as the chips.
Mm-hmm.
So regulating that doesn't necessarily help either.
As soon as you zone it, it's obsolete already.
Like we were talking about cooling towers last time. Since then, I saw an article about how they're using copper to cool now, and chemical cooling mechanisms as opposed to water tower cooling mechanisms.
Interesting.
So they also talked about potentially doing a combination of square footage, because that's typical zoning, and it helps with footprints, but also electrical demand too. So they looked at a typical, if you have a typical large office building, the typical load is under 1 megawatt. A small industrial user is 1 to 3 megawatts. Major industrial facilities, 5 megawatts. And something over that would be like 10 megawatts. Hyperscale data centers usually use about 50 megawatts, and that can power about 50,000 homes, just to give you some idea of scale. A large AI campus, 100 megawatts plus, and that's 100,000 homes.
So it's 1 megawatt per home, basically? Or 1,000 homes?
1,000 homes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bad math.
1 megawatt per 1,000 homes. So what I fed all of this data into ChatGPT, gave it some idea of what our zoning looks like. And one recommendation is that if we do 3 tiers, under 1 megawatt, that could be accessory or business supporting type of data center under 20,000 square feet. Maybe that could be in commercial and industrial areas. Tier 2 could be 1 to 5 megawatts, 20,000 square feet to 75,000 square feet. And tier 3 is anything over 5 megawatts and 75,000 plus square feet. So we could say maybe tier 1 would be allowed in commercial and industrial. Tier 2 could be maybe industrial by special permit. And then tier 3 could be something that we wouldn't necessarily want in town or be able to support in town.
Right. Has it been proposed anywhere? Do you know? I haven't seen it, but that the companies who are building these types of facilities are compelled to build green power to support their energy use?
I haven't seen anything that they're being compelled.
No, but I have seen some that's put like solar panels on the roof to assist with it, because I spent a lot of time actually looking at water consumption compared to like megawatts and the different cooling systems that exist today. To his point, though, they're constantly trying to improve on it and make better ways of it. But just to give you an example, that evaporative cooling towers, that one, its water usage is, they're saying approximately 18,500 gallons per day per megawatt. And that uses more water, less like electricity. But then when you go to other versions, they start using less water, like half as much with the hybrid adiabatic version, but yet at the same time it uses more power. So it keeps on varying through it. So there's a lot of like resources that get used on these depending on what type of system you're associated with it and how much power you're drawing.
Right.
But I have seen them trying, because they know that there's problems with this. I mean, this is a big industry and they're trying to improve on it. So there was a lot of articles out there about ways to try to improve their green space. But I think it's their own coalitions that are doing it, but nobody's forcing it, at least from what I saw.
My mere contribution was to look up to see what data centers there actually are, so-called data centers that actually are in Chelmsford. I mentioned one last time, which is 187 Billerica Road, which is in the building that you see on your right as you pass Community Tree. So that actually has an 8,000 square foot, 1 megawatt, what they call a data center. It doesn't look like it's necessarily an AI kind of center. So it's interesting and there isn't anything about it that necessarily draws the eye, except for the fact that there is a large greenish kind of object that looks like it could be a diesel generator, it could be something else. I don't really know. I haven't actually gone to look
I wonder-
at it. 187, Bill Rickard.
I wonder if it has like air cooling, because that would require like the more power versus like the less water. Like maybe that's why there's a generator and stuff. Wonder what cooling system they're using.
Yeah, and I don't know. And then also there was another place that was advertising it could be used as a data center, which is off of Industrial Ave, so just basically kitty corner running southeast. That was larger. I think I don't remember what megawatt size that they were advertising. And then just for comparison, there's Barracuda Networks on the other side of the street. Again, there's nothing obvious about those that you would say, this is a concern for us zoning wise. So I think basically the tier system that Chris sketched out, I think is a good start. And I think that we would just want to also, I do think that we would want to include how to handle if they're drawing such power that their ways of dealing with that power involves, exterior kinds of things like diesel generators, towers, and that sort of thing. I still think that we want to, include some aspect of that so that if somebody is saying, hey, I'm small, I'm using this much power, but if they're putting a diesel generator right outside their door, then that's another concern. The other thing too is these things are all in IA, and they also are not near residential.
And are they?
So we may want to employ some sort of a residential setback as well.
Are they incident? The data center is incident to their primary use?
I didn't look into that. Like who are the tenants, and is it their primary use or what, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
I imagine it could go either way. It's just a matter of who the tenants are.
Yeah. So, but I think that's the thing that we're mainly, I think it's right to use power as a means of establishing the tiers, because power is essentially what drives the need for backup power and the need for cooling and the need for all of that. So power, I think, is a good metric. I don't think we could enforce it as a criteria, but it is a good tier system. In other words, somebody comes in and we're not going to say, well, you can only use so much megawatts, but instead we'll say, well, what megawatts are you? And then you fall into one of tiers that then we'll be assessing under certain criteria.
But I feel like the usage of the power is, at the end of the day, even if you have a lot of small users, they're still so much more than like current usage that they're going to overall have an impact on the energy requirements of the town.
Yeah, well,
and so, is there not a way we could make them, I don't want 27 diesel backup generators anywhere.
Yeah, well, so back up a little bit, right? So controlling like what the sort of supporting peripheral kinds of things like diesel generators, that we can explicitly control. The use of the square footage and the power relative to what industrial uses are, right, then will I think provide us the ability to control in that way, right? So that basically what we want is we don't want to allow our data centers to be, the data centers we allow, we don't want them to draw any more power or have any more of a square footage input than an industrial use would be if it's in an industrial zone. And I imagine we're probably going to want to restrict these to industrial zone only.
Oh, for sure.
So, but we do want to allow that somebody can have something they would call a data center, but it wouldn't trigger, that could be in something other than industrial, right? If it's not essentially drawing some level of power, and it also doesn't have any of these exterior kinds of things like generators and stuff like that. If somebody has a generator inside their building, that's one thing. If they have it outside the building and it's near residential, that's another thing altogether. And I think that's the thing that we want to kind of control.
But don't
Yeah.
most office buildings have backup generators?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We don't want to now be more restrictive on data centers than we would on anybody else, right? We want to make it more equitable. What we don't want is we don't want somebody that's going to come in and draw an extraordinary amount of power or have things like the 27 diesel generators that Sacred Heart had, you know. So we're just trying to avoid, just trying to not allow that sort of, that degree of use to happen.
And that's why with the tier one, if you do less than 1 megawatt and less than 20,000 square feet, that's typically
Yeah.
an office building data
Right,
center.
Right, and I would just add that, you know, you could have that use, but also you could not have like an exterior diesel generator for that use. If you do, you go to a higher tier, much like how we're doing the contractor yard. You know, as if you have certain vehicles, you just go up a tier, doesn't matter, you know, anything else. So I think that would be the.
Go home.
So-
How do you deal with the other resources they're consuming of the town, right? Like we talked about, like water.
Water and
Like, so
electricity.
water consumption, depending on the cooling version, could be huge, and I think we talked about before, it's not really in our stuff. I think somebody was gonna look up something, but, because we have our different water departments, but they could shut down, depending on the water usage, they could consume the water that we have, and I think that's a real world problem.
And in some areas, you're already in level 3 water bans and restrictions on our usage.
Well, like, look at, like, Westford, a week or so ago, they had one of their pumps go down, and then everyone got restricted in a certain area to, like, very low water usage. It's a real concern.
Even Lowell's put in the paper that they're restricting water usage, and they've got
Right,
things
but we
in the-
can't, I don't think we can restrict water usage for data centers because we don't restrict it for any other use.
But we don't restrict it directly, but we restrict it indirectly by limiting the square footage and the power draw.
But their
That's
power draw can vary according to what they're using for a cooling system, from what I saw. You use more water, you use less power.
Well, we can specify certain
Types.
cooling systems are not allowed. Yeah,
I mean, it's just, I don't know what we can do with it. It's a big concern of mine.
yeah.
So, I've got a couple questions, because I thought, like, because we don't define data centers, we're not supposed, technically, like, they're not allowed in town, but you just said we have one on 197 Billrica Road.
Well, again, we
Nothing
have
restricts
one
it.
that advertises itself as a data center. So whether, we haven't defined what a data center is yet. So it could be that it's not, doesn't meet the definition of a data center, even though they may be claiming that they are a data.
Which one?
187.
The eyes of the
It's
iron.
like a U-shaped brick
Yeah, yeah,
building.
Looks
So
like an office
that's, it looks like an office building.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you just Google data centers in Chelmsford, it'll show up. It's ProAv.net,
Yeah, it says
whatever, and.
Co-location regional data center.
So, here's the thing, I don't, we can define it all you want, I don't think it's gonna, any area will pass town meeting. Only, you can, it'll be like what did we try to pass last town meeting,
Bed and breakfast?
yes, thank you, that one. It will be,
Right, but you have to allow some type of data center because an office building has a data center in it.
Yeah.
so I think it's important that we have to,
So it comes
gonna-
off of the definition again, right?
It's gonna
So
be a
there's-
balance between the definition and the criteria.
So what,
So if we overly define it, right, then we potentially lose the ability to control, you know, other aspects of things. If we more broadly define it, then we need to be more specific in our criteria about what we're allowing and not allowing. So there's a balance between the two.
doesn't I'm sure Lockheed Martin and everyone else, I'm sure they all have a server banks and everything else consuming power within their buildings.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's part of infrastructure, so.
Right.
well, I'd like to go and knock on the
Right.
door of this person and find out what exactly,
Because I'm gonna say at 187, you got multiple different units in there, because I know like the Boston
Yes.
Globe is in this, it's an imaging area in this, so it can't be that big of a data center, because it's only,
It's 8,000 square feet.
yeah.
8,000 is the whole building, or is the data center?
They claim that the data center is 8,000 square feet. I don't know. I haven't.
And that
done-
would meet
Well, the
the
whole
tier one
building's
requirement.
49,600.
So it's a very small data center.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's likely the old style co-location data center that doesn't require a significant amount of power. They're probably not doing a ton of AI compute in there.
Yeah. But if they were to do an AI and then they wanted to add a diesel generator or a cooling tower or something like that, then that would be something we would want to have some say in.
Yeah, and that would probably increase their power draw.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, Evan?
I think the accessory uses, as Chris is saying, that needs to be allowed, and that needs to be made very clear. I like the tiered approach. Joel mentioned something about having a residential setback. I like that. I like that particularly for, if you could combine that with a tier 1, whereby if you were outside a certain distance from residential, then maybe it's by right, even if it has external infrastructure, limited. The sense I get from the tiered approach is that strategically, you may want to create a tier 1 that is attractive to the marketplace. That's the sense I'm getting. Whether the infrastructure grid can actually handle it, or the water department can actually service it, those are technical issues. The board is certainly free and clear to try to engage with those entities. But from a pure land use and zoning perspective, it may be as a viable use as any other use of 129. We just don't know enough about it yet.
I wonder if we could make the backup generators have to be battery.
That's a whole nother.
Not
That's a
fossil
whole
fuel.
nother thing. Concerns
Solar
about
power.
fire
Yeah.
and so forth like that.
I wouldn't be concerned with the miscellaneous exterior infrastructure. As I've mentioned before, most businesses out there have tanks, generators, towers of some sort. They're just limited, and they're tucked away, and they're not visible or close proximity to residential properties.
Yeah, I think we absolutely have to allow the accessory use of data centers, and then maybe the standalone. Maybe we divide tier 1 into two sub-tiers, an accessory tier 1, and then a standalone tier 1.
That's a good idea.
And I would, again, I think it's good to define it. I think first out for the town meeting is allowing it for accessory and no for everything else. Because at least then we get the definition out there. And then as this technology evolves, because there's going to be a lot of discussion. There's a lot of discussion at the state level, at the federal level. It's going to change, but at least we have it defined clearly. And then we can always come back to it and flip it from a no to a yes.
Under these circumstances.
Under appropriate circumstances. I think that would be the best way to approach it from a town meeting perspective.
I would agree with that. I think that would be the best
And the
approach.
other thing about that, the other benefit of that is that someone can't come in and just ram it down our throats because we haven't considered it and we haven't defined it and we haven't just zoned it.
Right. Which is what this is about. Yeah.
Right. Which is the point, which is why we're doing this.
We're doing it.
Would you define it like the accessory is utilizing AI versus non-utilizing AI? No, you can't.
You can't.
Okay.
No, everyone's utilizing AI to some degree
We
now.
want to try to stay away from being tied to a particular technology because the technology could change.
Yeah.
But the use of power, I think, is a fundamental principle.
And that's the standard that the industry's using anyway, is the power consumption.
So they will be able to say,
Yeah.
when we ask them what power are you using, they'll know.
And we have to make sure that we're very careful on that wording, that it's the power consumption in total of the facility, not how much they're drawing from the grid. Because if they put solar on their building, they're using less from the grid.
Yep.
So it's total power consumption of the
Although
facility.
the kind of powers we're talking here, what they can get out of a set of panels on their roof really isn't a very big part of the energy.
True.
So,
You have to get some vision going or something.
Yeah.
All right, any other thoughts on this one? Do you have enough to
Yes.
draft
Yeah.
something for us for next meeting to look
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Thank you, that was a really good discussion.
So I will take a motion on this one.
To,
Continue to next meeting.
well, I will do just that. I'll move that we continue the discussion on the data centers.
Second?
Motion by Mike, second by Anita. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that is moving on. 210 Boston Road.
No, we didn't leave off the list.
All right, 210 Boston Road. I updated the slides on this one. Essentially just listing out the
Parcels.
parcels. And then, Evan, you were going
Yeah,
to,
I've received the data, I just need to compile it. So that will be ready for your next agenda.
okay.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, so next meeting, we will, so I'll put the slides to bed, and then we will talk about the restaurant tiering for next meeting. For, now, were we thinking of adding that tiering to all of the commercial areas?
For restaurants?
Yeah.
Didn't it already?
I thought we,
I don't see why not.
yeah, I thought we said.
You really only need it for CBLT and maybe CA.
Yeah, but
I don't know why you would need it in the other commercial districts. I mean, those allow restaurants
True.
currently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it'd only be the ones that we don't allow it in,
Yeah.
which is CA. But we allow restaurants in CBLT.
Right, but aren't we moving all of those CAs into CBLTs on Boston Road?
Yes. So the 210 Boston Road coffee shop is fixed by the CBLT.
Yes.
So if restaurants are allowed in the other one, you're just adding tiers to the definition of restaurant, wasn't that what it was? What were we doing
That's what I
with?
thought it was.
I thought we were adding tiers within the
That's why I was a little
existing.
confused after last meeting, because if we're fixing 210 Boston Road situation with the CBLT, we don't necessarily need the tiered
Right.
restaurants unless we want it in the other CAs as well.
What's the harm?
There's a lot going into town.
Yeah. I think that would be
Yeah, I think it'd be a
something
little
we,
bit simpler, just to change it to like, fix the problem, change it to CBLT, and then we could always address,
yeah, we can
Tiering
treat it
another-
as separate issues.
as a separate issue, because otherwise, like, there's a lot going to town meeting with this
Yeah,
stuff. They're
pitching
gonna
this
be
at town
really
meeting
angry
won't
at
be
us.
easy.
I guess I'm confused by the fix. I
May
don't
not
get
need it.
So there are
If
two
you're gonna
ways.
go to CBLA, you probably don't need it.
Yeah. So
Because
there are
it
two
already
ways
allows
of
restaurants
fixing
in
the
it.
210 Boston Road issue. There's changing it to CB Light or tiering the restaurants in CA to allow a small coffee shop but nothing larger. Or a small pizza place, but nothing larger.
I
We
think
could do the latter later and just do the CB late
Yeah,
now.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what
I think, yeah, town meeting's now comfortable with CB Light. They know what it is, you
Yeah,
know, we
they've
keep bringing it to them.
Okayed it twice
Yeah,
in actual use.
And we'll be bringing 2 CB Light changes to town meeting
already.
already, Riverneck and this one.
And especially if we present it as, you know, the owner came to us with a use that they wanted to use, that we
It
feel
seemed
like.
perfectly reasonable. but
Right, it seems
wasn't
like it's a bonus to the neighborhood.
Now, we haven't had a neighborhood discussion with this CB Light area yet.
Yeah, we should,
So we should do
So
that.
are we gonna open that up for next meeting, or?
Yeah, although there's not
With
nearly
not enough
as
time to
much
Yeah,
change.
that's what I was gonna say.
down there in terms of
I wouldn't
residential.
trust the mail.
So maybe the one after.
do it for the one after?
July 8th?
Do we decide we're getting rid of any meetings in the summer, or do we?
We haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah.
I think we should.
If we
school
can get
break.
through some of
You need a
these
break.
hearings. So July 8th would be the next time we could do a neighborhood one for this one. There wouldn't be a ton of neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right, there's not there are residences up there, but nothing like Riverneck.
Yeah.
Well, and that group's already activated.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been aggravating them for years.
You have no idea.
Yeah, oh, yes, I do.
All right, so let's go July 8th for the neighborhood meeting for this CBLT.
Okay.
The first of two?
Hopefully one.
Okay.
But we'll see how that one goes. And then we do have to start talking about when we're gonna start scheduling these public hearings at some point.
We'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Well, how about if we do the public hearing, the first public hearing for the Riverneck, the meeting after the second? Oh, no, you said you were gonna do it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I
we'll talk about-
gotta
let's talk about
work
it
with
later.
Evan to kind of work back from town
Right. Yep.
meeting.
Mhm.
And then select board
Mhm.
and FinCom
Mhm.
presentations.
Mhm.
And then we'll work back from there. So
Mhm.
I'll work with Evan in the next
Come up
week
with
or
a
two
timetable?
to come up with a
Also,
timetable.
it falls better anyway, because people are gone a lot. So.
Yeah.
Right.
I
We
just
saw
hope
the
we don't have a lot of big projects coming to us in the fall. All right, so we won't do the coffee shop tiering yet.
Yeah.
And then we will move forward with this public hearing. Okay. So I don't think we need.
You don't need a motion.
No, we don't need a motion on that one, so we're all set. All right, any topics for discussion on the aquifer protection gap
I
analysis?
think we can probably remove that.
Yeah, we can remove it now.
Okay.
And then we'll put it on if something else comes up. for the Board of
You'll
Health.
give us an update on your, because, okay.
All right, and then managed growth strategy. So we talked last meeting about how with John's role, he needs to step away from the managed growth strategy. So we need to replace him on that task force. So your homework was to figure out who would like to take his place on the task force.
I thought we decided we weren't.
Well, I'm immune because I'm already on it.
So, yeah, Mike would step in as full chair.
Yeah, I'll be
I see,
glad to-
right.
And then
That's
we
right.
need to replace John on
Another.
the committee,
Hey,
or on the task
Joe.
force.
Do that.
Yeah, so if somebody else wanted to do it, I'm more than happy for that, because I will still plan to attend.
I think you
with regards
should
to
do
some of the
Yeah,
other-
That'd
I
be
think
great.
you should too.
I think you would be awesome in that role.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do I hear a nomination?
I nominate
nominate Joel.
I second Joel's nomination.
Nomination for Mike, second by Deirdre. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
With delight.
That was easy, Joe.
I didn't step back fast enough. That's actually, it's pretty interesting stuff.
It is.
Speaking of which, do we have any sense, we were gonna have a summer meeting?
Well, we scheduled the June 25th.
June 25th? Okay,
I'll be sending out an email probably tomorrow.
got it.
Wait, June 20, oh, no, that's your meeting, 'cause we have a
Yeah,
June
it's
24th, because you got me all confused there, because I would have been here on the 25th. Actually, no,
Early
'cause-
too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm on vacation on the 25th. So,
All right, so moving on. So I just updated the tracking document, so you can have that with all of the recent changes. There'll probably be another one coming out for next meeting on that. Contractor yard updates. So there is a version 4, a new version. I didn't get any feedback from people on that last version. But what I did do is looked at some of the overlaps and the gaps between the sub-uses. So the low impact tier 1, moderate tier 2, and heavy tier 3. I looked at the number of vehicles. Actually, before we get to that, can you scroll down to the definitions? So I had my friend ChatGPT help me on this one again to identify gaps and overlaps. And it correctly pointed out that I had defined heavy equipment and heavy commercial vehicles, but not really defined light vehicles. And because there were some gaps and overlaps, the suggestion was to define a medium commercial vehicle. And so I defined light commercial vehicle as anything less or equal to 10,000 pounds. Medium, 10,001 to 26,000.
Do you have those pictures?
I was gonna say, I have no idea.
I'm
Remember those
actually
pictures you
trying
had
to
before?
find them. I'm trying to find pictures, and I haven't been able to
I
find
thought you put
any good
pictures up
ones.
before.
The gross vehicle weight.
Oh, vehicle weight,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And what are you talking about now?
The gross vehicle weight.
And what were the other ones?
They were different vehicle weight. They were different tiers. It wasn't exactly matching this.
Oh,
So I didn't want to add them in because it was going to be really
Confuse us.
confusing. Because they were slightly
I
different
see.
tiering.
They didn't align.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I'm
are
still
are
working-
the-
I'm
are
still
those
working
the
on
sizes of vehicles that exist? So maybe we should make our sizes align
What,
to
what does the RMV use for classification? That's what we ought to use if we can.
yeah, so that's what, this is basically what it uses.
Yeah, because like Class B is up to like 26.
Yeah.
The second one that you had, Class A
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
higher
that's-
than that,
that's
and Class
exactly what we're
D
looking
and whatever is the lower.
And then I also did heavy and light equipment to address your concerns also
Yeah,
with the smaller equipment.
yeah, thanks.
And so what I did is I looked at any of the gaps. So what I did is, so for the tier 1, I removed the number of vehicles and essentially said, that is 3 or fewer light vehicles. 3 is actually, should not be crossed out. So tier 1 would be 3 or fewer light vehicles, no medium or heavy commercial vehicles or heavy equipment. Tier 2, actually, I gotta go back to my other version because I think this one's wrong. I think tier 1 is less than 5. Tier 2 is 5 to 15 light commercial vehicles or medium
6 to
commercial
15.
vehicles.
Less than 5 or 5?
Less than 5
Okay,
is
so
the first
5
one.
to 15, got it, okay.
Second one is 5 to 15 and/or commercial vehicles, and no heavy commercial vehicles. Storage or use of light equipment or one piece of heavy equipment for tier 2. Tier 3 would be more than 15 commercial vehicles of any size. Storage or use of heavy commercial vehicles or multiple pieces of heavy equipment.
How are we going to define small stockpiles? And what's the story with gas refueling? Does that make it?
That is tier 3.
Okay,
Refueling is
good,
tier 3.
good, good. Yeah. Chris?
I absolutely trust you on this, but I really need pictures.
I know. I'm working on it.
Like, you're saying this and it sounds great, and I agree with you, but I have not a clue.
I know,
what
I'm
it
working
looks
on
like.
it.
You know,
I'm sorry.
maybe you should just have
Pictures.
total combined GVW. You know, you can have one big truck or 10
You could
golf
trade,
carts.
you could
That's
trade
gonna
3
really-
light for 1 heavy.
Yeah, not really, it might be a more practical way.
It's giving me a headache.
Trucks, lightweight trucks.
Yeah. I'm getting a headache from this.
I'm like
No
trying to figure, like,
imagination.
what number strike do this was more than 150 commercial vehicles? Yeah, I'm really
I'm
Yeah, the
feeling-
strikeouts are
I'm
messing
feeling a
me
bit
up
in the
on this.
weeds
They're
here.
very, I'm sitting there going, am I reading this right?
You just gotta zoom in. It's
All
under.
right, what I'm gonna
Oh,
do,
okay.
what I'll do for the next meeting is clean this up.
Okay.
I'll accept all the tracking, so I'll keep this version there, but I'll clean it up so that it's easier to read, because it's confusing me now online.
Thank God it's not just me.
No.
I like how the 5 is underlined, the 0 is crossed.
I know.
Not sure what that means.
I'm like, what is going on here? Am I missing something? You get a capital V cross
we
over
need a
it.
It's
couple-
9:30, our eyes.
We need
And then I
we need
will-
some extra
And I
bolding in
will
there.
add pictures for the next one.
All right.
For Anita.
No, I already asked that.
Those are the main changes that I made, just
It's 9:30.
Thank you.
cleaning up the gaps
wishing
and the
I was-
overlaps.
Thank you for all that hard work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, yeah, there are no other changes on that version. All right. Anything else on contract 3 yards? Okay. No new business. Evan, Community Development Director report.
No updates for tonight.
Okay.
Do we need to continue?
Nah.
I don't think so. It's just
I
a
don't think we
general
really did
topic.
much discussion. We were having a hard time figuring out the document.
Liaison updates.
Nothing here.
Development Director's report.
He
You
said
said
nothing.
nothing.
Oh,
Didn't
nothing?
really have anything.
Aquifer gap analysis, when?
All of the comments have been received by the consultant. He said they came in a variety of formats, so it's gonna take us some time to tabulate them.
They didn't give us a format.
That's,
so-
I know.
No.
I know.
You get what you asked for.
And once he tabulates them, he's going to request an internal meeting with staff, and then we'll report back to the boards.
Because I'm definitely gonna wanna track how each of my things was responded to.
Absolutely.
You can let them know that.
That's all.
All right. Liaison updates?
Here.
I have a quick one. So the Vinyl Square Committee, the historic district representative, or whatever they're called, came out, and they were discussing the possibility of Vinyl Square becoming a local historic area. But at our next meeting, we're going to have more discussion around the possibility if it's something we want to go after or not.
Are there funds associated with that?
There's different funds that can be available to historic buildings for things like, it sounds like, what did they say? They said they could do like facades and
Improvements.
yeah, there's different things. If we do go forward with it, there'd be some like open meetings discussing like impact. We asked them to bring back like, typical questions that's heard, what type of risks associated with making something a historic area. The woman that came to speak, she was actually excited about the thing that had gone through at the last town meetings that we had in regards to reaching out to them if something came up of significance. So it was a good discussion. It actually probably took up a good portion of our meeting.
So the funds would be available for housing?
They're like grants.
Grants would be available for buildings only if they were in a district?
It sounds like it gives a little bit more local stuff for that, but it sounded, I still need more details on it because it almost sounded like you could go after some of those grants if your building was considered historic. Like they said that like you could go after it if you prove that it's older because it's only 75 years.
Yeah.
And they were also looking to put some of the traditional white signs on maybe some homes,
Right.
a historic building saying circa you know.
Shit, I have one I need to put at my house.
By the way, reach out to them, because apparently to get the sign, it was free, right? I was surprised.
That's my
Oh.
understanding.
They gave it to me in my front hall. Decorating me.
You gone after the grants?
All right, anything else?
We meet, Center Village meets tomorrow.
Okay.
Housing Advisory Board met and we're planning a housing forum with, which we're gonna invite a bunch of organizations to, trying to engage with the community in terms of what their needs are and make them aware of resources that are available to them. We're also gonna invite other communities nearby, so we figured we'd get more buy-in from state agencies that might be helpful to our people. If we also invited like Billerica and Tingsboro, and I can't find it in my calendar, so I must not have.
September 10th.
September 10th. I knew it was the 10th or the 24th, but I couldn't remember what we decided. Thank you. Anything else you want to add on that, Evan? And then community preservation's meeting next week.
Okay. Anita?
The ZBA, they only had the Chelmsford Arms, 1 Smith Street, went in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing exciting there.
Okay. John?
NIMCOG Council's meeting next Wednesday. They did contact me about they're applying for a grant from the state to try to study a possible rail extension from Lowell to Nashua, be a long-term project. And they were seeking letters of support from town managers and all the NIMCOG, in the NIMCOG district. So I think I know that person, so I provided a letter.
Awesome.
Good. Joel?
The man of many hats. Board of Health met on June 2nd. One of the interesting things was the PFAS issue at Fire Station 5. The source of the PFAS was not fire foam, which was interesting because normally fire foam is a culprit for PFAS. So then you may ask, well, what was? I didn't ask, so I don't know. They also sent comments to Senator Barrett and 3 representatives with regards to the READY Act. I think it was called Mass READY Act or whatever. So they appreciated getting notice of that, heads up about that, so they could comment on it as well. So that was good. So I think Chelmsford had a good response on that. They also briefly talked about 9 Lady Slipper Lane, and I asked them, I said that because they were under the impression when they met that they were gonna be on sewer, and then that when they proposed to us, they were on septic. And my question to them was, is there a concern, I think we had discussed this at that hearing, that is there a concern the Board of Health has? So the concern that was expressed at that time was that Richard Day remembered that the Chelmsford Water District was entertaining the idea of a new well in which that could potentially be in its influence area, but there are no issues now. So they basically don't need us to wait on them or anything like that. So Board of Health is not feeling like they need to provide input for us necessarily on that. So that's good to know. And then also the issue came up, this doesn't directly involve us, but nonetheless it's interesting because it has to do with sewer. So there are 25 homes that are in the aquifer that are that are not on town sewer but have septic. And the Board of Health was considering wanting to be able to, if their system fails, to have them actually go on town sewer rather than to reinvest in a new septic system, particularly because they're in an aquifer area. However, they got into a discussion with DPW because DPW is the policyholder on the sewer moratorium. But then ultimately it's the select board that needs to decide that. And so they were going to pursue discussions with DPW and then also ultimately potentially with the select board, depending on how that goes, to essentially seek to have those homes, to be able to have those homes go on sewer if their septic systems fail. And I thought that was a very good point.
25 in the whole town.
Yeah,
In the zone two.
in zone 2.
Isn't one of the reasons that some of these houses are still on septic is that it's a long run to connect?
I believe so.
And is that likely why DPW had questions or concerns? Because who would pay?
Right,
Is
I
that-
think that it was particularly because I think the Board of Health was under the impression that, and again, I'm speaking for them, so they would have to be able to say, but that it would be to weigh the cost of what it would take to connect to sewer versus installing a new septic system in place of the failed one, which likely could involve a different location if your, leach field failed, then you need to go to a different field, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So there could be potential significant ramifications, and just for the betterment of the protection of the aquifer.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
so,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any capacity concern.
yeah, well, I think that was I don't know how much, it was just an issue of who owns the policy and a debate about whether the Board of Health could require that or whether the Board of Health could request it and so forth and so on.
And
So
I
it
think
had to
that's-
do with
I
the
think that's
policy.
easily resolved. But once the Board of Health forces an applicant or a property owner to connect, it's a long run,
Yeah.
which is probably why these property owners have waivers not to connect currently.
I'm not entirely sure that
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
true in
and
every
then if-
case, but
and then
nonetheless.
Just playing this
yeah.
forward, I think DPW's other concern may be similar to the grinder pump situation, where the town has some sort of ownership on grinder pumps.
Yeah.
I can't imagine DPW, on behalf of the town, wants to get involved in a cost sharing or
Yeah.
maintenance sharing
Yeah.
on long runs.
Yeah, but in any case, they're gonna be discussing
Yeah,
that.
makes sense.
And potentially any changes to the policy then would go to select board, so I think that's all in a good direction, That's it.
Okay. Anything?
Nothing here, not much historical happening.
Okay. Nothing major from Concom, but I did want to mention the Mass Ready Act. This was an environmental bond bill that we were alerted to from the Conservation Commission.
Was alerted themselves by the Massachusetts Association of Conservation
Yes.
Commissioners.
Yeah, and then I also sent it to the Select Board. Essentially, there are 2 amendments to that bill that were added in the 11th hour, essentially restricting or eliminating the use of local wetland and wastewater bylaws for priority housing construction, and would penalize municipalities with wetland and water protection bylaws by making them ineligible for new funding preference modifier, whatever that means. But essentially, if new housing is needed, then it would limit our ability to enforce the wetland and wastewater bylaws for this type of priority housing.
Did this get voted on already?
I don't know if it got voted on.
Last thing we knew is going into conference between the Senate and the House, and we haven't heard since
So
then.
we need to get this out.
So it was sent to us on May 12th. It made its way through the commissioners. It made its way to the select board. As the chair of the planning board, I also contacted our reps. Simon did respond to me that he agrees with our positions that shouldn't, those.
He's the vice chair of environmental resources. I
Yeah.
believe, so.
So he agreed that those amendments should not be in there.
I mean, are they legally, are they legal amendments? I mean,
I have no
wouldn't
idea.
Mass DEP have a different
So the last I heard,
vantage point on that?
Who can explain the state at this point?
Like, what
the last I heard
hell?
that they were going into committee in late May, so I haven't heard any updates since.
It's just
I can reach out to Simon and find out if there's any update.
What's interesting is that it's not a administration proposal or an administration amendment.
Whose amendment is it?
I don't know.
Real
I
estate
didn't look that
developers who
closely
want to
into it.
build in the wetlands?
I don't think it was any private entities. I think it was a legislature who
Who,
submitted.
I
don't
wonder
know, I
what
don't-
their full-time jobs are, I'm just saying. Like to see how many of them, what their real full-time jobs are.
So anyway, so it did make its way through the Chelmsford boards, and a number of us did already contact our reps, so it was very vocal. All right. So, moving on, we have the minutes from last meeting. May 27th. Did everyone take a look? Any changes, updates, edits?
Move to accept the minutes of whatever the
Mr.
heck
Chat
date that was.
GPT is making some good minutes.
5/27/26.
As long as it's spelled right.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
second by John.
Or Gabriel, it may have been me.
I heard John.
I didn't say a
All
word.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Motion to adjourn? Or no, we gotta discuss the next meetings?
Yeah, so June 24th. Evan, what do we have on June 24th?
Lady Slipper. Tonight's zoning items.
That's it?
Nothing new.
Oh, was there a Chelmsford Mall Department meeting today?
Didn't they want to be on 24th?
There was today.
Oh, wait, was this the thing, the multi?
They're targeting, I think, August.
August, okay.
That's right, they asked
That
whether
was
we
the
were going to have
meeting-
1 or 2 meetings in August.
Okay.
Which I guess we haven't determined yet.
Speaking of which, take a look at calendars for summer, and we'll talk through the summer schedule next meeting as well. Well, it's a typical meeting, yeah, we did schedule that,
All right, so we're not gonna skip that one. Okay.
probably not.
Say, I know I'm not here on the 24th of July, so.
All right, I motion to postpone the 24th. Do that?
We'll talk about it next
I
meeting.
made a motion. Anybody second? Come on.
We'll talk about it next meeting.
Thanks
You already
a
made a
lot.
motion to
That's
adjourn.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Motion to adjourn.
She said she couldn't do it. I said.
All in favor?
Aye.